Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today we're going to be talking about the rest of Love Catcher in Bali. James, it's been a little while since we started Love Catcher in Bali. Do you remember anything from the first episode we did?
Well, now I do, yeah. I remembered everything, I just didn't remember anybody's name. But yeah, I'm feeling refreshed and recovered from Singles Inferno.
yeah, that kind of took it out of us a bit, yeah.
This is also the most content we've ever watched for one podcast.
Oh, yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah, so that is true, yeah. We
it might be close to when we did the full season coverage of Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
But this is like hour and a half per episode, so it's actually probably pretty close.
Yeah, that's I'd forgotten that we had done that.
Oh yeah, that was
nobody listened
to that, so yeah, this was a lot, but
yeah,
I had fun watching the show. I'm happy we watched the show.
Absolutely.
So I'm feeling good about it.
And we haven't watched all of it. We have about an hour of the show left. We're gonna talk up until they're about to reveal some money catchers, maybe. And then we'll watch that and come back and talk about the rest.
In case somebody clicked on this and hasn't listened to our coverage of the first episodes, I'll be honest, I don't think you need to listen to our first podcast. We're basically going to talk about, we're not going to go into detail like we would if we were going like episode by episode, but we're going to basically cover the entire season.
Yeah.
In some capacity. So you don't necessarily have to go back and listen to episode 1 or 2. You could just listen to this. We wildly speculated on who was money catchers and love catchers in the first one. But so first let the people know what this what is this show like. What's the quick summary of what this show is, just in case?
Okay, so this is a Korean reality dating show. We start off with 9 people who are in Bali, and after getting to meet some of the people who are the cast, everybody has to pick if they're going to be a money catcher or a love catcher. Love catchers are here for your standard, I'm going to try to couple up on this dating show, whatever that means to people in the end. If it's real or not, we always debate. But the other people who are money catchers are trying to seduce a love catcher. And if they manage to couple up with a love catcher at the end, they get money. I forget how much money it is because it does not
$50,000-ish.
There we go. But if they match up with another money catcher, neither of them get the money. And also,
or like, the love.
Or the love. Yeah, there's some weird contract where they're like legit not allowed to date each other after the show if they've been a money catcher, which still blows my mind. I don't know how they could possibly enforce that, but sure.
Yeah, seems unlikely that they would enforce that.
Because it's like, really, like 10 years from now, are they going to be mad if you like come back to each other and hook up? That seems ridiculous.
Yeah. It's enough to scare them. Maybe.
I
don't know. Yeah. So what we've done though is we've watched the entire season except for the last hour.
Yes.
Because at the point that we stopped, at the point that we stopped, they have revealed some identities along the way. But at the point that we stopped, they're about to reveal
like 3
out
more.
Of like the final couples. Like they're about to reveal like one half of all the final couples.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about it, and at the end we're gonna make predictions as to who is love and who is money, and whether or not those people that are love or money are going to switch their identity before the end of the show.
Opportunity right at the end.
I'll say it right now, like everybody should just be switching to money at the end of the show. I'm not gonna predict everybody to switch to money, but
there's definitely someone I think is going to switch to money.
I'm very biased towards being a money catcher on the show, so I'm probably going to overestimate again how many money catchers there are. But
when we watched the first 2 episodes, definitely either the people you liked were influenced by you thought they would be money catchers, or the people you liked you just thought would be money catchers because that was the reasonable thing to you, right?
Yeah, either liked them, so I wanted them to be a money catcher, or I thought they were a money catcher, which made me like them.
Yeah.
Which largely holds true, I think.
Okay, okay.
I think again, I still think if you're not a money catcher on the show, you're like a little bit of a sucker.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would come on this particular show and be like, yes, this is the one where I find love, clearly.
Yeah, we're gonna see a couple scenarios where strategically. Actually, I was thinking about this. If you knew 100% sure they're gonna let you change your identity,
Which they did not know. They just thought that that was a possibility given past seasons.
yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like they knew that in past seasons there were opportunities to switch, but they weren't sure if that was going to hold true.
Right.
So, but like, if you did know that that was going to be true, you definitely just want to be a love catcher and then just decide if you want to switch to money at the very end. Like, that's the ideal path.
That feels worse to me. I was of the opinion
Worse
if
in
I were
terms
on
of
the
what?
show, I wouldn't be, that would be like such a betrayal. Whereas if you start out as a money catcher and then just don't switch, I mean that's a betrayal too, but it feels less pointed. It's like, oh, I was just gonna, try to trick whoever. But then if you're like vibing with somebody all the way to the end, and then you're like, yeah, but I didn't really like you enough
no, it's the same thing.
to not take money.
The whole
But
time
then
you knew you were going to switch to
personal.
money catcher at the end.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Also,
It's a
the
weird
other
vibe.
person should also be a money catcher, so it's no big deal.
Well, yeah, but then like, what are we even doing here? Then like, nobody gets anything.
It's their fault for not being a money catcher. The show's great though.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, but the vibes are a little weird on that.
Do you want to say now if this is your new favorite Korean dating show?
I mean, I haven't seen the very, very end, but there are a lot of things I really did like about this one, format wise. There are ways to improve, but I think, yeah, this one's pretty much up there right now.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the best one. It's got everything, and it's one of the biggest things that we can talk about when we get to like the format of the show is like it's just not. It doesn't drag out. It's only 8 episodes, and we can get into maybe why that is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely see that not everybody's gonna think this is their favorite one. It's a little less dramatic in like the who's gonna choose who department.
That's true. I think it's a little bit less romantic. It's easier to be skeptical about all of these people, just given the format, which might not appeal to some folks. But,
true.
Let's spend time.
All right, so we're gonna talk about everything up until the reveals in the last hour.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna pause the podcast, go watch the last hour, and then come back and talk about the last hour.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah. So what do we want to talk about?
How do we want to start this? Okay.
I think what we should do is we should just go through the like person by person and talk about their story on the show, and then if we get to like a big event that happened in the show that as it pertains to them, we can explain that event in the show, because the show's gonna have like missions or like just things that they do throughout the days that they're in Bali.
Yeah.
Some of them not consequential, some of them
yeah.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the new guy?
Sure, let's do that. We get a new guy in episode 3, right?
Yeah, pretty early. So yeah, the new guy, his name is Taehyuk.
Taehyuk. He's 30 and he's an actor. He's the oldest guy on the show, and
the hosts say he looks very handsome. That's what they say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically gets to the love mansion and nobody's there, and he basically has to choose if he's a love or money catcher like immediately.
Yeah, without meeting anybody.
Yeah, which is like really rough and almost like how are you choosing to be a love catcher?
Yeah, because like not only like he's a couple days late, like whenever the person gets added late, they're at a disadvantage in terms of love on any of these shows. So like
people already make connections, and then it's hard.
It's hard to break in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We can also say, so we did a lot of wild speculating in the first podcast because we didn't know how many love catchers and money catchers are going to be. The show is going to tell us like at like episode 4 that there are only 3 money catchers, which
was shocking to me.
Which was underestimating. Everybody's overestimating the number of money catchers. So Taehyuk joins in like episode 3, so he could be one of the 3 money catchers.
Yeah, and I like just upon meeting him, I was like, yeah, like this situation, he's an actor, yeah, total money catcher makes sense. But then when we're down to there's only 3, like I feel like other people are more likely to be money catchers, and so he fell off my list then.
Yeah. I don't know how you're coming on this show as an actor and not being a money catcher. In all likelihood, that is what he has done. But
Mm,
I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that he is a money catcher.
okay.
So basically, yeah, what's Taek's story? He comes in late, right? And
Yeah.
he kind of just chooses one of the girls. He
Yeah, Yujong.
chooses Yu Jong.
Yeah, they kind of like make dinner together that night when he first arrives, and like that's enough to be like, sure, I'll just go after this person.
Yeah, we don't get a lot with him with anybody else. So he's basically just choose one girl, text her every day that he has a
Hmm.
chance to, right? This also is very love catcher behavior, right? To
Oh yeah.
not really weigh your options and just kind of you go all in on somebody, meaning like, okay, you probably actually find this person the most attractive and you're actually doing this for love. So based on the behavior as we've seen it in this season, they've also told us the identity of like 3 people. So we have a little bit of like how to read the edit a little bit on this show,
Hmm.
just in the one season.
Yeah.
And I would say that yeah, his behavior is definitely love catcher, right?
Really? Okay.
Is that what
Sure.
you? Oh, wait, you don't have to agree with me.
Well, I mean, I'm still, sorting through it. I have not finalized my final predictions, but I always use our time talking together to finally align all of my predictions. But I mean, there are some things like I wrote down. He had a confessional where he was just like, "I'm confident," and he's like, "I must win this competition," and that felt like super money catcher vibes. But I mean, his behavior is sort of like on other shows when you have somebody who comes in late, it is usually less quick, find hottest person and then go all in on them. So that's pretty standard for the course when you're on a dating show. So that's not necessarily money catcher behavior, but money catcher behavior and love catcher behavior can be so blurred. It is difficult to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. So, what we are trying to guess at this point is we know there are 3 money catchers, and the show has told us 2 of them. So there's one
Yes.
remaining,
Yeah, yeah. I don't, given that there's only one left, I don't think it's him.
and it has to be in the group of 6 that actually couple up, right? Otherwise, we probably would know about it already.
Ooh, that's fair. Yeah.
Maybe.
Hmm.
Probably. Yeah. There's who I believe is a love catcher, and then I think about who do I want to be the third level. I mean, who's a money catcher and who do I want to be the third money catcher the most? And I
Yeah.
haven't decided. I kind of want this actor guy to have been a money catcher the whole time just because it would like make sense to me in my head.
Okay.
But if I'm strictly going off behavior, I would say he's been a love catcher. Yeah, anything specific
But
you want
yeah,
to talk about
so
him?
his whole thing is, he's going after Yujong. Yujong is into somebody else for the whole time. And he's trying his best. They do get to go on a little date. There are not a lot of dates in this show. Can we just talk about that real quick?
Yes.
Like,
I like it. I'll be honest.
well, like there's not a lot of like player agency in terms of like choosing dates even. So the first dating experience is they get paired off like it's a group of 3 and they go and they take those photos together, which I liked because it was like a weird way to like force them to be close to each other and that was fun. But they didn't like really get to pick anybody. Then there's like a whole group date day where they all go out on a yacht to this place where there are 2 different activities. Then they get split up, and then they kind of get a choice there to pair up within those groups. And because it's 2 groups of 5, one person in each group is awkwardly left alone just so we can watch them suffer, I guess, which
Yeah,
felt dumb.
that was dumb. Yeah, they should have had the 2 leftover people like go on a separate third date
Yeah,
vacation or
exactly.
something.
But that's they're still busy like doing an activity that like Taeyok does end up matched up with Yujung for this, and they're just in a canoe, like canoeing around this one area, and it's like he
Kayak,
talks
but
about
yeah,
it later. Kayaking, sure, okay.
they actually say canoe in the subtitles, I think, but it's definitely a kayak, right?
Yeah,
I
I don't know, sure.
don't know.
But like they don't get to like look at each other and talk really. So I guess they kind of get to talk, but it is like an awkward, like you would want another part of that date to be. And then we ate a meal and we're able to talk face to face rather than just like, ooh, look at the pretty scenery. let me talk to the back of your head, I guess. And then what's like, there's one other date, and that's where they get to choose, but it's again obscured a bit because all the guys take a picture of something that they've, encountered over a couple days, and they're printed out, and then the women take turns picking which picture they want. And most of these guys pick terrible things like a shot of the ocean or a shot of the sky, which does not indicate who they are at all.
I mean,
So
all the
for
women
most
figured
of
it
them,
out anyway, but somehow.
well, some of them they weren't sure, but yeah, it's a lot of blind picking, and like they never get a point where they directly go, "I choose you," and so I would like at least one of those.
Really?
And
Okay.
that's it, right? I've run out of dates, right? Like,
I mean, we're getting that, but it's like for the, so at the end, it's like,
it's like the final picking process is the first time people get to choose.
yes, there's like a promise ring step at the end of the show where like you exchange rings with the person you want to couple up with, but then you like go have one more like overnight vacation with them, and then you get like one last chance to switch your identity if you want to, and then you like finally reveal
Confirm
your
if you want to be
like, yeah, it's like you confirming if you want to do the relationship or whatever,
leave the show
yeah,
together
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
I think for this show, the pacing or the decisions that they made as far as the dates is correct.
Okay.
Because, well, even if you're talking about outside the show, like what do I like about other dating shows, and or what I don't like? I want to say most one-on-one dates are like the worst part of these dating shows.
Yeah, like watching them is the worst part, if unless they're like we've gotten some people who are like very good at dating and they are cute to watch.
Yeah.
I think the mistake some shows make is of showing us so much of the date. It's like I want the date to happen and to see a few small highlights of it, so that way like I can feel like their connection is more authentic, but I don't need to see the whole date. That's the balance I'm looking for. Whereas here I feel like I don't get to vibe so much on any real connection for a lot of people.
But the thing about this show specifically is that like we're gonna find out the authenticity of it at the end, and that's like a big part of the show. So I don't think, I guess like as a viewer, I don't know. I don't know if they want you to feel the like they want there to be a gray area of that.
So if we get to the end and somebody like switches from being a money catcher to a love catcher, does that feel more authentic to you than just people pairing up on a different show in terms of if this is actually going to be like a relationship in the outside world?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, so that we talk all the time about like what are the benefits of being on these shows outside of love, right? And they're all kind of theoretical things you could benefit
career
in the
boosters.
future. Yeah, essentially, right? But this show literally has a monetary prize.
Yeah.
So like someone like me could go on the show, not give a shit about like boosting a career, and just be like, but I want to win the show. Just like
yeah. Okay.
And I think, and we're gonna have at least one person that we're gonna talk about later, like, is in a situation where like, okay, they matched up with somebody at the end, but it wasn't necessarily the person they wanted to match up with. So like they probably were a love catcher the whole time, but
yeah, she should really definitely switch to a money catcher.
You came in here as love catcher, and maybe you planned on being a love catcher, but you get into the situation at the end, and you know what, like, might as well just win $50,000 if I can.
Yeah.
Why not? Who cares?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah, the dates that you like to watch, and it's all very subjective, person to person, because it's purely based on if you like the couple or not.
Yeah.
So when we watch other dating shows, I love the dates of the couples that I'm rooting for. But the majority of the couples I'm either indifferent towards or actively dislike them, and I hate watching them have one-on-one dates. Like, it's the worst part of the show. And there's plenty of conversations that happen at the mansion in the show. And a lot of the drama of the show happens around, like, somebody's talking to somebody and somebody else wants to talk to them, but they're like too scared to like interrupt, or they do interrupt, and then that's a whole thing. I just think there's so much more interesting content that happens when you're forced to date in like a group atmosphere versus like Singles Inferno, where it's like every day we're like, all right, there's a chance to get a one-on-one, and then you figure out how to get a one-on-one date, and then now we have to watch you have a one-on-one date, and on top of that, you might just be like, I don't know. It could just be Singles Inferno fatigue or PTSD from for us with season 3 and having to watch so many dates where we
Yeah.
were actively rooting against what was happening on the TV screen.
I think you do make a fair point about how everyone behaves in the house, though. I feel like that's at least, I don't know if they behave differently than other people on other shows or we are shown it differently, but it feels like they do take more advantage of time in the house and hanging out in a, way that makes me believe some of these couples are couples or whatever.
Because this is like it's like a perfect bridge of all the shows that we watch. Because so like Transit Love and Heart Signal, it's like they live
Mhm.
together, but they still go to their jobs, so they're not there all the
Yeah.
time. And then Singles Inferno is like, okay, they're just on the show the whole time, however long it is, but
Mhm.
they're like every day they're like leaving and doing these one-on-one dates.
Right.
Plus there's like the conditions of the quote unquote inferno that they're living in that affects them in a certain way or whatever. But this is
Mhm.
just basically like you're going on vacation and you're living with people, and
Yeah.
there's
And
no
it's not
obligation
really
to go
long
any
drawn
yeah.
out. Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
obligation to be anywhere else except to participate in the show, and you can cook and socialize how you normally would if you were hanging
Yeah.
out with anybody. So yeah, I'm really feeling this format, and I was not
Yeah.
missing the one-on-ones at all.
Okay. Fair. You may have convinced me.
I am curious which couples you're rooting for and or like the most, because I have one that I was rooting for,
Okay.
but I think we should get through maybe going through some of these people first.
Okay.
So where were we? We talked about the new guy, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he has like one big moment where I feel is like the most strategic play of the game.
Okay, tell me how you feel about
So,
this.
so they have a night where it's what they call it, the night of truth or whatever. We always have it where they play some equivalent of truth or drink on these shows, right? But they have a limit of 20 questions, and whoever's you ask somebody a question and then they ask the next person in a chain like that, and whoever is it on the 20th question gets to ask whoever they want to reveal their identity as a money catcher or a love catcher. And so our boy Taeyuk is the guy for this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some other people are like, hey, pick me. I would like to reveal what I am because there's a misunderstanding happening in my situation. But he is into Yoojung, who is in to Junghyun. And he has suspicions about Junghyun, or is just like, well, if he's a money catcher, this will be an easy way to get her interested in me instead of him or something. So that's who he picks. And it turns out that Junghyun is, in fact, a money catcher, which ultimately does result in her sort of pre-coupling up with him at the end of the show. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty good strategic move for his situation.
Yeah, it's what you. It was like his only thing that he could do. He did have like a. They gave him like a confessional montage, which made him seem like he was doing some sort of like Sherlock Holmes detective work, where he was like, I noticed these things and these things, and then I thought that he was a money catcher. But like, also, even if he thought he was a love catcher, like, you might as well just use the question and you're just
Yeah.
hoping he's a money catcher so that the girl that you like will stop liking him and like you instead.
Exactly. Because it's not like he was gonna like try to like convince her that he was a money catcher outside. Like he wasn't gonna double down on like trying to convince her the other guy was a money catcher. If he actually suspected he was a love catcher, but like try to turn her against him, like he was never gonna do that. So might as well just.
I don't think he
would
would have done anything if he didn't have this opportunity where it was like,
yeah.
I guess he had to tell the truth.
Yeah, they were.
I guess
Yeah,
that was the point
well,
of the game. Like, if he had lied, like, would a production come in and been like, you got to tell him the truth? Like, I don't know.
well, production did say that during this game, everybody got one chance to say no comment.
Yeah, but if you say no
Eh,
comment
but
to that question, that only
yeah,
means
yeah,
one thing.
absolutely. But also, everybody before they started asking questions was like, "Oh, well, we should agree that for that last one, you can't use your no comment."
Yeah, but the no comment is answering the question in that case.
Well, yes, to me and you, but they were talking as though like that might not be
Okay.
significant. Like they would still be too vague. And so that's why they made that decision, which was not a production decision. Production theoretically gave them an out, a suspicious out, but an out.
There was like a weird moment where like it sounded like he was about to answer it like in his chair, And then he did this whole
Mhm.
like stand up at the front of the table thing. I don't know. I kind of feel
Yeah.
like he tried to lie, and then production was like, "No, you're not allowed to lie." And then he had to get up and be like, "All right, I'm a money catcher."
And then he added on but I'm willing to change.
The funny part with Taehyuk though was that like he went into this like state of like feeling bad about it.
Yeah, because Yoo-jung ended up crying over this whole situation, even though it sounded
Yeah,
like she made it sound like it was more like she was sad that she was in second place for Junghyun rather than she was sad that he was the money catcher. But whatever. So then he
probably
just felt
true.
guilty that he like made the situation happen where she cried. So
Yeah, but it was like, but it worked. Ultimately, it
yeah,
works. So
yeah.
it's like
It took
good move.
well, it worked in that he picked her, but
Yeah,
like during this last final like trip away couples date, she does not seem to be in on it at all.
yeah. But you made it to final
So
tribal council. That's all that matters.
that's true. That's true.
Because then you can just. I mean, he made it seem like he didn't know that he was going to be able to change his identity, but like just make it to the end, and
hmm
then you can make another. You can make a decision later.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about Junghyun since
Sure.
we're here, or is there anything else on Taehyuk?
I mean that's his big thing.
Okay.
He had the strategic move, but now at the end, I don't. Was it worth it? Who knows? I'm
Definitely. Definitely. What are you talking about? Absolutely worth
Well,
it.
under
No
the presumption that
regrets.
he is a love catcher and actually into this girl, like that angle is not
No
going to work
matter
out
what, it
for him,
was
right?
worth it. It
Okay.
might. We don't
Yeah.
know. Dude, make
Okay.
it further in the TV shows. Don't be weak.
Okay. You're right.
Jesus,
You're
come
right.
on.
If your
Okay.
goal is to make it to the end, he did
If
that.
your goal is to be on the TV show,
Yeah.
do
But
what
if
it
your
takes.
goal is have this girl want to date you, like for realsies, I don't think that's happening.
It might not be happening, but that has nothing to do with whether or not he calls out Jung Hyung.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's talk about Jung Hyung. So Jung Hyung is the chef of the season, right?
Yes. He's. I feel like that's all he does on this show is he cooks and he
Yeah,
cooks with
everybody.
girls, and the girls he cooks with are into him.
Every time anybody sends him a text, it's like something about being a sous chef or like cooking together, or I like
Yeah.
the food you made tonight, or like that's all he is. He's one. People all see him one way, and he's just a person who provides food for their faces.
But hey, that works. He's got both Hyojin and Yoojung sort of into him at least.
Yes, so he did pretty well. I think he was. I was pretty whatever about this guy
Mm-hmm.
until he was revealed as a money catcher, and then I was like, hell
Okay.
yeah, there's my boy right here.
I will say I
Let's
think
go,
he
dude.
fumbled the end of the game though.
I don't think he had anything he could have done. You think he
I
could have made a different
think
choice?
I think he could like during the okay, so he comes like during this truth or whatever night, he says that Hyojin is his number one, but then I don't know, Yoojung crying a lot over him made him decide that she was the more worthwhile target, probably. And so the day where they're supposed to pick their final people, he is talking to her. I don't think we see him talk to Hojin at all. But not once during that time does he ever say, like, I'm gonna change. Like, pick me and I'll change, to a love catcher if they give me that opportunity. He never says anything about it. So that to me, like, if I were in her position, I'd be like, oh, so you're just not even gonna pretend that you're gonna change. Like, why would I pick you?
I think he does say something along the lines of like, I would change, and he mentions the fact that like I didn't know. I think for both of them, he didn't know Yoojung or Hyojin.
Yeah, they were not part of his group that he got to meet before he picked his role.
Yeah, you only meet half the cast before you pick your identity, so he didn't actually meet the two girls that he was ended up being interested in. So he did say that.
Yeah, I think he said, like, yeah, I didn't meet you before I got to choose, but I don't think he explicitly says I'm willing to
Yeah.
change, other than when he's revealed during the truth or nothing game.
He says it later to Yoojung in like some capacity, but he doesn't say like definitively, I am going to do this. I am going to change.
Yeah, he's just not convincing about it.
I just think he's dead in the water anyway. Like, I mean, maybe there's some stuff he could have say. I think Hyojin.
No, I think Yoojung was like way more into him than not, And if he
She
gave her
was, yeah.
anything, she would have picked him.
Oh, you
She
think
did
so?
not. I don't think she wanted to pick Taehyuk at the end at all. She was just like, well, I can't. It would be dumb to pick this money catcher. That would just be embarrassing.
She could have picked nobody though. That's what Hyojin picked nobody.
And I respect the shit out of
That's
Hyojin
right.
for that.
So she had that option. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think I think it would have been easy for her to. It would have been real easy for her to pick Jung Kyung if he had like put a little more effort into it. You know.
The weirdest part for me is that Jung Hyung picked Yu Jong and didn't pick Hyojin. But I just think we didn't see Hyojin basically being like, I'm not picking you, dude. You're a money catcher. Like, I think we missed something was just kind of taken out of the show to kind of try to make Jung Hyung's giving his ring to Young Jung feel like potentially authentic.
Oh, see, because like I agree with you. There's probably something we're missing, but like the way it is edited makes me feel that these are money catcher moves. He saw her have a big reaction to her not being his number one and him being a money catcher and was like, oh, that's an easier get than this other girl who has shown no reaction to me saying that she's my number one. And so that felt like more of a sure path to get that money.
That's possible too. Yeah, I guess that's also possible, yeah.
But yeah, it's possible it just looks like that and they edited some other shit out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, yeah. Yeah, so Jung Hyung is going to be the money catcher that doesn't make it to the finale. Does not couple up. The money catcher that we know about.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll find out about anybody else who got left behind if they're not the. I mean, I'm presuming we would have found out about them already.
I think they're all love.
Yeah.
And yeah, potentially we would have found out about them. Like he ended up randomly being revealed publicly, but we might have just been told privately.
Yeah.
In some way, if there was a money catcher that was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the edit of these seasons could be like totally different. Like, what if there's like 6 or 7 money catchers? Like, how do you edit a season like that? Versus, this. Oh, do you want to talk? Yeah. Oh, he was a money catcher, right? Oh, you want to talk about the secret nights? We talked about one of them,
right?
In episodes 1 and 2, but we get 3 of them, and there are also 3 money catchers. And Jung Young ends up being he was the money catcher the first one. So he invited
Suji
to talk. Yeah.
Which had like that whole first night like influenced a lot of who I thought was a money catcher the whole time. Like I really thought that was Sungbum because he is one of the people expressing interest in Suji throughout this season.
Yeah, we had no idea like what the context of was like.
Yeah.
How do you get picked? So now that we've watched all the secret nights, like there were only 3 secret nights, right? Like you don't think there were other ones that they just didn't show?
Well, in all the ones we saw, they reveal that the secret host we don't see, was a money catcher. Now I don't know if that's just because they only give secret night hosting powers to money catchers.
What is the point?
Or they only showed
What would be the point if there's like the person you're talking to is a love catcher? Like the only reason that would be interesting is if like the person that got invited was a money catcher, maybe. But then like we would be in the dark about that unless they were to reveal to us that previously that person was a money catcher or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that it would be super intriguing to watch, but it is another mechanism for people to try to figure out who is a money catcher and who is a love catcher. But I would say, like, for the vast majority of the show, at least this season of people, seem to not care. A lot of people are just like, I'm just going to treat everybody like they're a money catcher. Whatever happens, happens. It's, you know.
So here's one of the big things to think about when you're on the show is, like, if you're a love catcher, you've already consciously chosen to take the worst of the 2 roles. Which means you're already just, you're along for the ride. Who cares, right? If you've chosen to be a money catcher, you really care who's a money catcher and who's a love catcher, because you only win the money if you find a love catcher. So
exactly,
the people that are money catchers care way more about what your identity is than the love catchers do. Because the love catchers are just there to like the person they like and then let the chips fall where they may. You know what? One thing I wanted to, one change I would make to the show is like somehow incentivize the money catchers to like, if you can get more than one person to choose you like win even more money. Because then I think it would actually like just give them a little bit of extra things that they could do, and that could like potentially help people like realize that they're exposed a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Because like some people get multiple rings, right? Like, you should get more money if you
Yeah.
want more rings. So one of my questions is though, like, were there other secret nights? I think not. I don't think they would have
Yeah.
just done other ones. Now, if they did do other ones, I think good job not putting in the show. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why
That
do I
makes
want to
sense.
see a Love Catcher's secret night?
Hmm.
But if you're on the show and they've only done 3 secret nights, like, should that be a clue that, okay, there's probably
I think to
only
anybody
3
who's
money
been
catchers?
invited to a secret night, yes. But like the people who've been invited are not supposed to tell
Oh,
anybody else
yeah.
anything. So they don't know that there's this moment of like
Yeah.
the person you're talking to is a money catcher or whatever. Like they don't know anything about
Yeah.
it.
This is the first time they did that, I think. We haven't watched the
Hmm.
previous 3 seasons of this, but I think we were told this is the
This is a new
first. Yeah, this is a new
mechanism.
mechanic. Great mechanism. It's actually
Yeah.
like not like a huge segment of the show, but it's enough to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great like cliffhanger moment because they don't get to ask like a lot of questions at Secret Night, but
I felt like I was spending most of my time gathering information from the silhouette of the host, you know?
I didn't bother. I mean,
Oh no.
the girls could just like, you know, put some pads underneath their
Well,
hoodie.
no,
Look
the
bigger.
big one for me was the last one where I think Sung Young gets invited and she assumes it's Suru, but like the silhouette for the host was hella smaller than Suru,
Oh,
and
you
there
think
was
so?
no
I
way
think
it was
that was just.
him.
Well,
And
I
and that one we get revealed is Taeyeon. So
yeah.
like, yeah,
I mean, I think Taeyeon was the most obvious money catcher from the beginning of the show, so that I was like, I was like knew that was Taeyeon.
okay,
Because also at
okay,
that point, I was thinking about again with the Secret Nights. It's like, okay, what is the mechanism for inviting people? So, like, if I was on the show, right, I would be a money catcher,
hmm,
and I would definitely be a host of Secret Night because I'm a money catcher.
okay.
But like, would I really be allowed to choose anybody I wanted? I don't think so.
Oh really?
I don't know. Either it just worked out really well for what the 3 choices were this season, or I think production at least is gonna suggest who
Hmm.
maybe you should do.
Well, like, what's your strat going in? Who are you like? You wouldn't want to pick the person you're vibing with because that just makes them suspicious that they're vibing with a money catcher, right? Like,
I mean, ideally, you would just like choose somebody that you have like no relationship with, right? They would like see that somebody's a money catcher, think that it was like somebody that was close to them, invited them, and it's like,
hmm,
no, you're just like totally nobody has any sniff on you at all.
that's why I think Taeyeon's choice to take Sungyoung was a really good choice because at this point in the show, like Sungyoung is starting to like express a lot of interest in Suru. She's being very open about it. She's trying to move in on him. So like by Taeyeon picking Sungyoung for this, Sungyoung assumes it's Suru, and like in theory, that you would hope, I guess, that him being a money catcher would dissuade her a bit and make her back off. That's not what happens, but I think it's a good move on
Oh
Taeyeon's
yeah,
part.
I guess that's true. Like if you are Taeyeon, is Seung Young the best choice? I guess it is.
And like,
Yeah,
because if she would pick Suru, like it would just like he'd immediately be suspicious of her because
yeah. There's no way you're picking Suru.
yeah, and like everybody else would be like, well, why even bother unless you're trying to cause chaos amongst other people?
Yeah, that's what you're really doing. Like, or she could have picked like Hyojin, and now Hyojin knows there's a there's a money catcher in the house, and that would affect her a certain way. But why?
Yeah,
It's like why? What's the connection between Taeyeon and Hyojin? Like nothing.
yeah,
But it narratively felt good that it was Taeyeon, and
mm-hmm.
I would at least hope that there's some production saying like, hey, this would be good TV, and it would also be good for you, I think. And like they give her like the breakdown. Like I don't think you're
Oh
like
yeah,
productions.
I'm sure they suggest people. I don't know that I want to believe that they outright limit it.
Okay, because I guess Jung Hyung's choice is kind of off the board, right?
Well, it was also like night one or whatever,
Yeah, I
right?
don't know how he was
So,
totally feeling on night one, but he's gonna invite a girl that like he's gonna invite a girl at least, right?
mm-hmm. But it's not somebody we ever really see him connecting with over the course of the show.
You probably want to invite somebody of the same sex, like strategically,
Mm,
but it's not as good for the show if you do that. I don't think so. I think they would be like, because it also works out because like Soji gets invited to the first secret night, and she was like
mm-hmm.
one of the people who was like pretty obviously between 2 people even early on in the show, and it's so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like perfect for the TV show that somebody's that's between 2 people gets to find out that there's like a money catcher, and
yeah.
they start thinking
That's true.
about how it's probably one of the 2 people, you know. So I don't know. I this maybe they can't force the person to do it, but they're definitely saying like this would be good, I think. or you
Yeah.
could do this for us and it won't hurt you
Yeah.
kind of move maybe. Because what was the second one? We don't know who it
We don't
is,
know who it was,
but
but
they
it was
invited
somebody took Young Ho.
Young Ho. Okay, when we make our final predictions, we'll have to talk that through
Yeah.
and what we think about that, and maybe who. I guess it could be anybody. If production is kind of guiding people, it could be anybody. Because even Taehyuk was in the house at that point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we talked about Junghyun a little bit. Is there any events throughout the show that specific? I mean, we talked about his truth game reveal. That was big. I wrote down some of the things from the truth game. Did he have anything? No, nothing. No, it's all right.
I feel like I wrote down everything from that, but like the only thing that mattered was the last question, you know?
There's some stuff in here once we get to certain people, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's stuff in there. But for him, it was mostly just him revealing that Hyojin was his number one at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you want to do? Youngjong? Yoojong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like in talking about both of the guys she has interacted with, we have talked about all of her situation.
Pretty much, yeah. So Yoojong was in the beach group on the first day, so she wasn't with Junghyun.
Yes.
She was the like. I have in my notes here. How did they character? Oh, she looks like a doll. Is what's.
Okay.
I actually don't know what her occupation is. Do we know what it is? Hold on. Where did I write this stuff down?
Somewhere in my notes from before. She's an assistant manager and lecturer at a mega study education group, but it's also a beauty academy. So she teaches makeup. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
She's also a DJ, so she's all over the place doing cool things.
Yeah. So I don't know. I also feel like she was kind of like I didn't think anything about her. I want to say I thought she was a money catcher early on, but I like once you find out there's only 3 money catchers, I think it became easy to like narrow it down to way less people.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, almost anybody could be a money catcher. Everybody has a good reason to be a money catcher because it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, she ultimately it feels like she likes Junghyun, right?
Yes.
But is after the reveal of him being a money catcher is going to at least pick Taehyuk for the end. And her whole narrative at that point becomes, will she switch to being a money catcher?
Yeah.
It seems based on her behavior
that she definitely should.
If she was a money catcher, she wasn't going too hard. Like the people that are going harder are probably money catchers. That's how I kind of feel. Or they're more likely money catchers. I don't think she ever seemed that emotionally invested in any of the guys.
No, I feel like she was. I mean,
I think
she was. I think
cry. Her feelings
she did
got
a big
hurt.
Cry.
I think her feelings got hurt that she was second fiddle to a different girl.
Okay, that's fair.
But I didn't see her like putting in huge effort. And I just think to people that are trying harder, it just means more likely that they're a money catcher. Because if you're coming on the show for love and it's like, oh, okay, these guys are okay, you'll go with the flow of the show, but you're not gonna do anything extra. And that's how I kind of feel.
So, do you think she is not going to switch?
I do. I honestly am just gonna say she's gonna switch, but I really can't separate what I think she's gonna do and what I know she should do.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she's gonna switch. I feel like I'd be insulting her by saying she won't switch.
Yeah, we get like these 3 couples in these like final like trip away dates, and like the contrast between her and Taehyuk versus the other 2 couples is like extreme. Like they're kind of talking. There's like everybody's a little awkward because they all have 2 beds in one room, but she's just like, we're not sleeping in here together, right? Like she brings it up a bunch of times and is like, let's not. I don't want to do any of this, you know?
And do you think that is an indication that she's going to switch to money catcher, or do you think it has nothing to do with it?
I think it is an indication of her general not really being interested in this guy, but like given the fact that she didn't just choose no one, like, but she's not trying is the thing. Like you would think if she was like planning like, okay, I'm gonna be a money catcher, she'd try a little harder to be real cute and not be suspicious leading up to switching.
I could see maybe a woman especially like feeling like, okay, I want to switch to money catcher, but like I can't sleep in the same room as this guy, and then switch to money catcher. Like that'll just
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would just look too evil if I do that.
Mm.
I could see somebody having that mentality.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm ultimately going to say she's going to switch, but again, it is hard to separate from, like, I think she should
What she
switch.
should do, and yeah.
Yeah.
And she should switch regardless of what Taehyuk is. It's just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Because, like, she definitely does not seem to be vibing with this whole, quote unquote relationship. So, like,
yeah, not $50,000
not losing
worth,
anything.
Not $50,000 worth of vibing, at least. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's where she has some intrigue.
We do, like, there is also a big, like, when they do the date based on the pictures, like, Taehyuk is the only one that makes it really, really obvious. He printed out a picture of the back of her in their, like, kayak together. Like,
yeah, I was surprised he was allowed to do that.
So it was very clearly him going, hey, you, I would like to pick you. And she did everything to not pick it.
But
she was telling the other girls, like, oh, no, she didn't. She actually did not end up picking it. Somebody else picked it for her.
Because she was last,
and yeah, but she was like, that's not me. That's not my back. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Of course that's you.
Yeah.
That does not do much to, like, encourage my feelings about how she feels about Taehyuk a lot.
She didn't not pick it, but she probably also didn't want to pick it based on
she
what
absolutely did not want to pick it.
Yeah, I also felt like I feel like she was pretty low key for most of the season, and then she got sad with the whole Junghyun thing. Mm-hmm. And then the moment she gives the ring to Taehyuk, I feel like she had a little bit of a game face on, and I was like,
oh yeah,
I was like, she's just realized that she can win some money if she switches to the person that she doesn't like.
But then she didn't stick with it. But maybe it is a sense of guilt that started creeping in. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see people putting labels on the sleeping in the same room for a night just to get $50,000 thing.
Well, just like even outside of the sleeping in the same room, when they're like out to dinner, she feels very like she's not acting like cute and interested in him. She's a little withdrawn. It's not believable, to me.
Maybe she's just not good at it. Like she kind of
can't do it long term.
She put a game face on, but then she kind of starts to feel bad about it, and then
yeah.
Probably it's like she's gonna go through with switching to money, but she like almost wants him to figure it out or something.
Yeah.
Or she wants him to kind of know, and then maybe knows that he just still won't switch. But I don't know.
And then it's like, well, I gave you all the hints. It is your fault if you let me get away with this money.
Trying to like make it seem obvious so that if he still doesn't switch, she doesn't feel as good. I don't know what the logic is. But I hope she switched and feels good about it. All right, you want to do Hyojin?
Yes, let's do Hyojin.
This group of people. So the Hyojin is the other half of who Junghyun was going back and forth between as a money catcher, right? So he was like, he was not committing either way because he's got to figure out if one of them's a money catcher, he can't choose that person. So he's not gonna commit as hard as some other people that are more likely love catchers are going to.
Yes.
Which I didn't really pay attention to just because I just kind of wrote him off as like not a main character of the TV show.
Uh-huh.
But it makes a lot of sense once he was real.
Oh yeah. But she is also in between him and Young-ho. But she is more interested in Young-ho. Young-ho's off on his whole hyper dedicated to Suji situation.
Hyojin's in between two people though is like a different vibe than Junghyun's though, because Junghyun kind of like went back and forth about like who he would text each night, and we didn't get a lot from him like either way, I felt. But Hyojin was kind of like she ended up talking more with Junghyun earlier in the game, and then there's a moment leading into the group date, is it?
Yeah.
Where they're Young-ho and her and Hyojin are like in the same car. And I want to say, wasn't Junghyun in the back seat of that car?
Yes, he absolutely was.
Yeah, this is a great car ride. But he's in like the back and they're in like the front, which is like the back middle of a
Yeah, yeah.
three row car. But and they're just like Young Ho and Hyojin are like both hitting it off, talking about like she's like
Yeah.
international conference speaker, like she speaks English, and she may have done like some sort of educational stuff, which is what Young Ho does, something like that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. They had like common experiences
Yeah, they seem like
basically.
they're having a great conversation, and like Jungkook is in the back, not being involved at all. Doesn't seem like there's any point where he could interject, or
He
maybe he's just
tries.
not will. Like it's just not. It doesn't work. He's not
Yeah.
on this level that they're kind of having this moment of.
Yeah. So Hyojin really hits it off with Young Ho, and I feel from this moment forward, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
Hyojin and Young Ho was like my favorite couple of the entire show. I was
Mm.
I was rooting for it hard. I just really liked Hyojin. I'll be honest. I think I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
her a lot.
I was definitely rooting for the two of them. I like both of them.
I just wanted
Um,
Hyojin to win. That's honestly what I want. And I wanted Hyojin to be a money catcher, but she's not going to be.
yeah, I did not. I don't think I thought she was one, and I didn't want her to be one. I liked the two of them
I think
together.
I said she was love, but I wanted her to be money.
Yeah, yeah.
But her narrative the rest of the show is kind of like, I actually vibe with this guy, I'm really into him, but even in the same day, like once they get to the yacht for the group trip,
He
Young Ho,
immediately abandons her to go be with
yeah,
Suji.
Young Ho just like doesn't talk to her the rest of the day because the girl that Young Ho is interested in is there. And then, oh, do you
Hmm.
want to explain the whole process with the Hyojin has a funny moment with the when they have to choose which activity they're doing.
Yeah. So they have two activities. One is like snorkeling, and one is in the kayak touring the mangroves or whatever. And Young
This is
Ho
great.
has been repeatedly said he cannot swim.
Yeah.
Like he cannot, he's not good, he does not like the idea of being in the water, he cannot swim. And so when they get these two choices presented to them, he says pretty loudly next to Suji, "Oh, those kayaks sound great." And she's like, "I want to go snorkeling."
Yeah.
But Hyojin overhears this and is like, "Oh, right. He can't swim. He's going to want to do the kayak. I'm going to get in the kayak group." But no, he follows Suji over into the snorkeling group. And she's standing there just like, that motherfucker. Now I'm over in this canoe group. I don't want to be here. And so she sneaks over to Sungyun, who at this point is into Suru. And Suru is over in the canoe section. And so she's just like, "Hey, you want to switch? Be in a different group?" And then they like conspire for a moment, and then they do. And it's like, they're off in the groups that they want to be with. But then when they actually get to this snorkeling, I think Hyojin gets to pick first, right? Or is it Suji picks first? Because
Hyojin picks first.
yeah. So the women are supposed to pick a guy to partner with because there's three guys in their group, and she ends up picking Junghyun instead of Youngho because I guess she was feeling bad about how he had ignored her the whole time. I'm not clear where this sort of whole thing broke down.
It was on the yacht, like on the boat ride
Yeah.
over to the group thing. Yeah, she was just like, "Wow, he literally didn't talk to me on the boat because Soji was there." Like, so she was just like bitter about it, and then
Yeah.
didn't want to like
So I guess
reward him by picking him or what. I don't know what it was.
and I guess her switching sides also could have just been like, well, the other guy I'm kind of interested in is in this, snorkeling group. And maybe she wasn't switching for Young Ho, but I don't know. It was a moment where I thought she might pick him. I don't know.
I believe her. Like again, like if it was a different guy and Young Ho, maybe she still picks Young Ho.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that like it was enough. She felt slighted enough that it was like the difference between choosing Young Ho versus Jung Young.
But so is the Jung Hyung situation strong enough that was the motivation for her to switch groups?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like she didn't feel slighted enough to not be in his group. I mean, either way, it was like the two guys she likes is in the one group.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like if you're saying like if Young Ho was in the one group,
Like
and
if
and
Young Ho had
Chung
ended
Young
up
was in
in the
the other
canoe group,
one,
she would have stayed in the canoe group, right? Like I feel like she picked the canoe group
that
specifically
is the
because Young Ho
narrative.
said that he
Yeah,
wanted to be there. That's at least what they show us.
yeah, that is the narrative that they showed on the show. But I see what you're saying. Like it could be it was in that moment she cared more about being in the group with Jung Hyung.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That whole scene just worked out so well because like yeah, Young Ho can't swim, so he tries to make it obvious where he's going, like not
Mm-hmm.
swimming. But like
And at that point, it's
weirdly,
like very clear that like Suji does not give a shit about him, right? Like,
no. But the thing is that we're like you're leaving out is that as far as we know, swimming is Suji's most favorite thing to do in the world.
that is true.
so,
That is
so
all she
it was
talks
just like it was
about.
like this amazing dynamic where like the guy that one of the guys that likes her like hates swimming or or can't do it at all supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she just loves to swim, and so does the other guy that likes her.
Yeah.
It was just such a funny, like, perfect storm of like ingredients between
Oh,
people.
when we get to
Basically,
these three, I have so many things to say. It's a mess.
um, okay, what else? Yeah, so Hyojin, I think it's a different kind of in between where I never really felt like once she kind of showed how much she liked Young Ho, I was like, okay, she's not a money catcher. Like
Yeah.
she kind of like had a guy, she had a good thing going with a guy, and she kind of sacrificed that in order to go to try to get with Young Ho. So it didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
a money catcher move at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felt like a genuine like if you're switching late in the game because I don't think there was anything between. Did she like not get a text from Jung Hyung? I don't know.
Um,
Maybe it's possible she got like no text one
like
day
I
and then
feel like from the beginning though, she was into Young Ho. It's just like they never like he never really like he was just so focused on Suji that
yeah.
it never
There was
turned into
there was this
anything.
whole weird scene where like Young Ho gave her like a book of poetry and then there was like a bunch of
Oh,
tabs.
right.
There was a bunch of tabs like
And
he
one was
folded
like
the
folded
pages.
on this like poem about like love at first sight or something. And she was going around to everyone like, it means something, right? Right? It definitely means something.
I don't think Hyojin that influenced Hyojin that much. It was more like when they had like a real conversation and she felt like they
Yeah.
vibed. But it was just weird that was like we never really got Young Ho's perspective of why he did that. Other than that, he was just like, "Oh, I folded a bunch of the pages, and I thought you would just like
Yeah.
it." Like, it seemed like an actual just like friend move.
Yeah. I think it's less of a thing that swayed her and more of a just her reaction to it is indicative of how she was feeling at the time. Like she was already into him, so she really hoped that this
Oh
meant
yeah, yeah.
something.
She wanted it to mean something. Yeah. Also, it's like fair. Like this is a thing that has been done on these shows before, where it's like,
Oh yeah.
here's a book of poetry. Also, I folded one of the pages. Please
Yeah.
read this poem.
This one definitely totally doesn't make me think of you or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, just this one.
so I think it was fair. Yeah, I also think I felt like Hyojin and like Suru were like best friends on the show. I don't know why. Whenever they talked, they seemed very
Yeah.
like they were working together, or I don't know. They were like vibing. They were vibing as friends or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Hyojin is the one I think I said. I think she looks like the K-pop idol Jihyo from Twice.
Oh, right, right.
Which made me like her. And then Hyojin had like the first time. Oh, they did this weird thing where like the girls went out and did like yoga one day, and the guys went
Oh,
out
yeah.
and did what did they do?
This they went out and they went surfing. This was
Surfing.
so
Yeah.
dumb. You have 6 days where you can have these people interact, and you went, nah, let's have a bros day and a ladies day. That annoyed me.
But the point was to get them to talk about like who they think, like in the opposite sex, like who they think the money catchers and the love catchers are. And maybe like this group of people, because most of them were love catchers, I think people didn't care as much.
Mm,
But I did once they got to the point where they were like talking and eating with just like the women or just the guys. I did think it was interesting
yeah.
because I didn't write down the specifics, but Hyojin's like thoughts on who was a money catcher and who was a love catcher was like pretty much dead on with how I thought about the show at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, oh, Hyojin gets it. I was like, she gets it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, let me read my notes real fast on this. I feel like there was some interesting stuff. Surfing and yoga. Oh, this is where the narrative started, where like the women think Sungbom is a money catcher,
Mm-hmm.
except for Soji doesn't, because
Yeah.
she had the secret night and she was convinced that Young Ho was a money catcher. But then we're gonna get revealed like early on that Young Ho is not a money catcher, or he is a love catcher.
Honestly, I don't know that the secret night had a big influence on her. I think it's just she was more interested in Sung Bum, and like
Oh, she's gonna
instead
use
of
that
doing
as an
the
excuse.
yeah, instead of doing the standard like, oh no, so many people are interested in me, I don't know what to do. She went, oh no, I think that other guy I'm not really interested in is a money catcher. Like,
Mm.
and that's her easy out, you know?
I thought they were both money catchers in the beginning, so I whatever she wants to think made sense to me.
Mm,
Um, yeah, but the women were pushing this narrative that like Sungbum was being nice to everyone, even though we were only seeing Sungbum and Soji. It was like behind the scenes,
yeah.
Sungbum is like maybe trying with all the girls, and then yeah, Hyojin was like Suru is a love catcher, for sure, because someone like him wouldn't be so quiet if he was a money catcher. I was like, that was
Mm.
exactly my read in the first two episodes. We still don't know. Maybe he is a money catcher, but I feel like he at least started as a love catcher.
Okay.
Yeah. So I liked Hyojin, and I was definitely rooting for her to succeed, but it didn't work out in the end. But she did pull the cool
Yeah.
move of not choosing anybody, which is
Yeah, which I
right there.
love.
You should just love this show for that purpose.
It did give a
Yeah. Do
well,
you want to talk about the
is
final
it
choosing
is
mechanic and
it
if you like it?
yes. But like real quick, from her perspective, it's like I want to say it she says she didn't choose anyone or it's presented to us in that way, but is it like she didn't really have an opportunity to choose anyone? I don't know. It
I mean,
could
she
go either way,
did.
but
All she had to do was like be like, "Here's my ring. I give it to you," and
I
that's
guess
what
that's
that's what
true.
other people did. And she was just like, "Nah, what's the point?"
That's fair.
you know?
Yeah, so the mechanism is on like the last day where they're all together in this house. They each get a like ring. They're like couple rings or whatever.
The
And you're
promise
supposed to
rings, yeah,
go yeah, you're supposed to
they're
go out
serious.
and like ask somebody who you're interested in out on a date. And it's like not a real date, it's just like a quick like let's have a coffee and talk or sit on the stairs and talk or whatever. And then you give them a ring to be like you're my pick for the end of this show. And if they give you back, then you get to go off on the 2-day trip for the final coupling or whatever. And then like if you don't get a ring from somebody that you give a ring to, you're just that's your last day on the show. I guess you go home after that, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I really like this because, like, to me, this is like the equivalent of asking somebody on a date that we usually get like early on
Mm-hmm.
in the show.
Yeah.
So, like on Heart Signal, they'll be like, "It's the girl's turn to ask any guy they want on a date." And then we'll get a scene where they have to like ask them to like go talk privately in the house somewhere, and then they usually the girls it's like this is my first time asking anybody out because girls don't have to ask anybody out ever.
Right.
That's like a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
common thing. But yeah, so we usually get that, and I think those moments are fun, but we save it for the very end instead because
Mm-hmm.
those decisions also kind of like can spoil somebody's end of the show often as well. And then we
Yeah.
don't get anything like this on Singles Inferno because Singles Inferno is like one person stands up and then all the people that pick them go stand in front of them, and then there's like this very like artificially created announcement of like I have
Yeah.
chosen this person, but they get to do whatever they want here, which I love. Like they get to
Yeah. I do
decide.
like that. They in other shows they all have to independently pick, and it's like a foregone conclusion, and then they show it in the show however they configure it. Whereas this is like throughout the day, like you could be like, well, I'm gonna pick this person. Oh, they've just coupled up with someone else. I guess I'll pick this other person. Like that's an option that could happen.
Yeah,
Like you can see who else is doing what and then make a different decision.
like if Hyojin just had to write a name on a piece of paper and put it in a mailbox, like she probably would have done that. But she,
Yeah.
because the show is like making you actually have to go through the process of like pull the person you like aside and then tell them why you like them and then basically ask them out on a date and give them a ring and put it on their finger.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know if I like anybody that much to do that. So it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get to actually see better like where Hyojin's head was at the end of the show.
yeah. Which is the guy she's really into is definitely not into her, and the other guy is a money catcher, so not gonna fuck around with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's also kind of like a time crunch thing, which I also liked, where like once you gave your ring to somebody, it's like you can't get it back from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it if you wanted to try to get somebody's ring, you had to like, I don't know, there was like pressure to talk to them earlier.
Yeah, you want to make sure you get to have your input in before they make their final decision.
There's also interesting things where like if you were between, or like say you would definitely give your ring to one girl,
Mm-hmm.
but you thought they might not give their ring to you, and then there was another girl that you would be willing to give your ring to if you didn't get a ring. It's like you could hold out and just wait to see
Yeah.
who like the one girl gives their ring to, and then if they don't give it to you, then give your ring to the backup girl.
Yeah, yeah. And like I think like Jung Kyung sort of almost does this where he goes to talk to Yu Jung and he doesn't even take his ring. And he's just like they have a conversation about where they're at with things. And then the choice to give a ring happens later, you know? Like
Yeah, do you think that there was a scene where he like took the ring and was going to give it to Hyojin, and then Hyojin was like, "I want nothing to do with you. You're a money catcher," and he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he went back and talked to Yujong and was like,
honestly,
"On second thought,
yeah.
here's my ring. Don't you want to? Don't you want to go for an overnight
That
trip with me? We could
sounds
sleep in the same
exactly
room."
that sounds exactly like something that would happen that production would not want to highlight. Yes.
Yeah. This show's great. Sorry, what were we talking about?
Oh, and then there's this other wait, there's one more part of this mechanism that is
Okay.
a little bit out of pocket. Whereas as soon as people have exchanged rings, everybody else gets a text that a couple has been formed.
Oh, I love that.
So
too.
like
It's like,
the
oh
worst part
shit.
though is like people find out that they've been rejected by this text, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's
because
great.
the person they're into has coupled up with someone else.
Just nice, clean cut. You don't have to listen to their BS when they don't pick you. Come on, that's great. And then if you really want to
Yeah.
still go do the awkward thing with them, like the what's her name, Sung Young, or what,
Yeah.
Sung Young or whatever. She
Mhm.
like knows he's already given his ring to somebody, and she's just like, here's my ring. I'll give my ring to you, even though you've already given yours away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's good for people like Hyojin who are like, I don't want to deal with this BS if I already know it's lost, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But if you want to do the awkward moment, you can still do it if you want to.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite end game mechanism. And it's actually not the
Yeah.
end game, it's just like the final select mechanism. It's like
And I
there's
do
like a
like
whole,
that there is another step. I like that it's
yeah.
like then you confirm that you actually do want to leave with this person. Yeah.
There's like a whole new show after the final decision now where it's like, all right, now now that you've chosen, you might want to switch your identity, right? Don't you want to switch your identity? And I'm excited to finish that
Yeah,
last
yeah,
hour off.
definitely.
That's fun. Okay. Anything else on Hyojin? I think we're good. I was
I
glad
think
Hyojin
I
was
think
on the
that's the most
show.
of her. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
honestly think there were some people that I thought were going to be totally like not be in the edit and not be interesting at all. And I think everybody had
Yeah, I think
a
everybody was in it,
contribution to the TV show and their story was covered well.
and even like the couple that couples up immediately, like they're still present through the whole freaking thing.
Well, the reason they're present through the whole thing is because one of them's a money catcher.
And because there's a third person who tries to like worm into the situation too.
That
But
helped
like
too, yeah, but yeah.
like even before we knew one of them was a money catcher, like they just spent a lot of time being like, look how cute they are, which I guess is build up to the
Yeah.
reveal, but still. I like after the first episode, I was like, oh well, we're never seeing these two again.
Yeah, and I think I also like that part of this show as well, where because there's this love and money aspect to the show, the love or money part can become the drama part that the show can edit around,
Rather than
versus like having
people
to
drama.
yeah, versus like having to leave out the true state of people's emotions in order to like build suspense around who's going to pick who in the end.
Right.
Because like pretty much like they tried to throw some stuff out there like, oh, maybe this person will pick this person, but it didn't feel like there were going to be major changes.
Yeah.
Like about the halfway point of the show, it kind of felt like, I guess we got one switch up at the end, but that switch up was more because the person was a money catcher, not because their feelings changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that. Like it's nice that we didn't have to hide anybody's feelings. Like I feel like we got to know everybody and how they were truly feeling on the show, because that's not in terms of being the drama of the show, that doesn't the drama doesn't need to come from that. This
Exactly.
drama, there was still drama around it, but we didn't have to
They
get
didn't
like
need to fake any of it.
artificial drama. Yeah. Okay, that was Hyojin.
Yes.
I guess we go to Young Ho from here, right?
Yeah, Young Ho
Okay.
was
So Young Ho is the other guy or is the guy that Hyojin was, we believe, to be mostly interested in, actually vibed with
yes.
in the car ride.
But he seemed entirely incapable of seeing her because he's obsessed with Suji the whole time.
Yeah. So he's gonna be obsessed with one girl the whole season, but he's kind of like the nerdy, not super muscular, not the guy that's working out in the morning.
Yeah, he can't swim. When they go to the beach, he does not take his shirt off. You know, he's one of these is not like the other. So vibe you get pretty
Also,
early.
like, he could swim, or I'll say he could not drown. Like, I because they go swimming. He goes swimming with Soji on the group date, and they do have snorkel stuff on, and they had a life vest. But then at some point, Soji's like, "I want to dive underwater, and I can't do it with the life vest on." And he's like, "I'll take off my life vest too." And I was like,
That
"Bro, you're gonna
whole
die."
situation was ridiculous.
I was like, "Bro, you're gonna die," but he doesn't die. He's fine. I mean, he has
Yeah.
flippers on. Like, I don't know if the flipper. I don't think like
Maybe
putting
the
flippers
flippers
on
make the
makes you
difference?
able
I don't
to
know.
swim versus not swim. I think the flippers just help you swim faster if you know how to swim.
Well, I think the big thing is like he did have a little snorkel. So like when he's not completely keeping himself above water, there's at least the top of the snorkel that's still working for him, you know? Because it did see a couple times where he seemed like he was struggling a little bit to keep as high in the water as he would like otherwise, you know?
Usually when people actually can't swim though, it's like when they go in the water they just start sinking. Like they flail and then they just slowly fall. And they don't know how to propel themselves
Well,
to
I think
stay
that
up.
the flippers probably help a lot on that front.
Maybe. I guess they could. But he had the confidence to be like, you know what, I'll just take my life vest off. Unless he was just trying
I
to
don't
be like, maybe he was
I
just
think he
like,
was
it's
just
worth the
trying to
risk.
yeah. He was like, I need to make this woman love me somehow.
If I start to drown, production will save me. But if I don't drown, I'll look so cool.
Yeah. Neither of those things are exactly what happened, but sure.
Young Ho gets, in terms of his relationship with Hyojin, Hyojin definitely expresses himself to Young Ho, right? And Young Ho gets to the point where he kind of realizes that Soji's not leaning towards him, at least, and he tells Hyojin, like, I think I'm gonna start seriously looking at other people, suggesting that like he's gonna give it a go with Hyojin. But like by the end, he admits like, I thought I could do that, but I just like Soji so much I couldn't. I just could only focus on her.
But I feel like that's what Hyojin thought she was hearing. I don't know that that's what he was saying. He was saying, I'm going to give it a go with the other women, my good friend. Thanks for the chat. You know, like I don't know that he ever like honed in on Hyojin as like an
he was
option for him.
definitely suggesting that he was going to think about her, I think.
Really? I thought he said, I'm going to like try to get to know all the women.
Yeah, he says that, but like who's he getting to know besides Hyojin at this point? I don't know. He specifically like apologized to Hyojin about it later because I think he knew what he was saying in that moment, and then he ended up not following through with her later. So I don't know. We never get.
I don't know.
Like,
it felt to me that he clocked her as like a friend person and not like a romantic interest. But I don't know.
He doesn't explain it that way. He just says like, I'm just too obsessed with this one girl to think about.
Yeah, that too.
There's a great scene where he's talking to Taeyeon. And Taeyeon's like, so what do you like in a girl? What do you like about a girl? And then he was like, oh, I like somebody I can connect with. She was like, oh, do you connect with Soji? And he was like, oh yeah. And he like started to say some things. I forget exactly what he said. And she was like, you think that's making a connection with somebody? Because like honestly, there's almost nothing between Young Ho and Soji.
They do have a couple moments of like they're talking and maybe having a good time, but it's not a hard vibe the way she vibes with Sungbum, right? Like, but like from his perspective, it's a vibe.
Well,
you know,
I think Soji is about the same with them, other than that Soji actually likes to do the activities that she's doing with Sungbum. Like they're going
Yeah.
swimming together, and she actually likes to do that. There's a lot to say about Soji when we get specifically to her. But
Yeah.
yeah, but as far as Young Ho, like he ends up getting revealed as a love catcher early on.
Yes. At least revealed to the audience, not to the people in the house.
Yeah. And the fact that he was not chosen in the end makes sense why he was the one that was revealed, I think. Because ultimately what happens, I don't know what they do in all the seasons, is like they leave it so that there's one money catcher that's not revealed.
Yeah.
Which means that anybody can still be a money catcher. Because at least one of them hasn't been revealed. Whereas, like, so we just got the last show we talked about was Traders.
Yeah.
And in that show, your identity is like assigned to you by production. The TV show lets us know from the beginning who the traders are. And it's still fun to follow the show and be like watching the traders talk and see how they talk to people. But the difference on that show is like once you're a trader, you're a trader. And your objective is to win as a trader. Whereas on this show, there's always that fallback of like, oh, I could change.
Yeah. And I think Traders wants us to root for the traders, whereas Love Catcher, I think, wants us to root for the love catchers. And the part of the reason that at least Suji puts out that she is not going for Young Ho this whole time is because she thinks he's a money catcher. So we get to like sympathize with him once we know that he is a love catcher, and just like there's nothing he could do to like convince her, even though I think that's just her excuse and it's not actually what's really happening. But
yeah,
like that gives us that tension to follow as we're watching it, because we know for sure he's not, and you're just supposed to root for him and then feel sad for her because it doesn't work out.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I feel like that we got to see he's the only love catcher that's revealed the whole season.
Yeah,
but it kind of makes sense that like based on like the narrative that they like let us know that he was actually a love catcher, because it made those scenes like more emotional, where he's like she's like saying, oh, I thought you were a money catcher from the beginning, and he's like, and we know it's not true. I think it's like a better scene that we knew the truth there.
He finds out about this at the Night of Truth, and so when it gets down to the final question and Teo can ask anybody to reveal who they are, he's like, please, just you gotta pick me. Just let me tell her that I'm not a money catcher. God damn it, this is the only chance I have.
Yeah.
And he does not get that chance.
Which honestly, like that determination and asking to be asked the question probably should be convincing enough.
But again, like I don't think that's actually the reason she's not into him. I think it's her excuse for not having to deal with it.
Don't tell me, but I'm very interested to hear who you think the last money catcher is.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so Young Ho is not gonna make it to the finale. Any other Young Ho moments? I mean, there's so many. Oh yeah, he has this whole thing with Sungboom, the other guy that is interested in Soji, and it's like it's a very weird dynamic. Maybe we should talk about Sungboom. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about Sungboom.
Yeah, their vibe is so weird. Like anytime, like there were a couple times where Sungboom and Suji were like sitting together talking, and then Sungboom would get up and do something, and then Young Ho would slide into that seat and like take a chance to talk to her. But then as soon as Sungboom came back, he would be like, oh yeah, sorry, and run away. Like it was this awkward, like, oh yes, of course, let me get out of the way so you can have your time to talk to her. And it's like, you gotta be a little bit more forceful there, my dude.
Yeah, but it was so like high school, like nerd and jock dynamic, where like
absolutely,
like the nerd is like talking to the hot girl, but always just like runs away if the jock guy comes around that also likes the hot girl or whatever. It was kind of like uncomfortable to watch, actually.
And there's a lot of time where one or either of them are like hovering outside her room just waiting for her to wake up so either of them can talk to her. Like they both do that, and it's like, you guys have no chill. This is kind of weird.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like all Young Ho being like super passive either. Like I do think some of the stuff Sungbum was saying is like definitely, I mean, you could call it passive aggressive, but it also just kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
Like it's not like threatening or anything like that. It's just like, I'm gonna make it audibly known that I like this girl in front of you and other people in the house as well. Like I don't know. it's still kind of weird that he just kind of. There's so many scenes where he like left the room when
Yeah.
Sungbum was around. I don't think I would ever be like that, but uh, I wasn't a big Sungbum fan. I can't imagine you were a big Sungbum fan.
No, I
Okay,
was yeah, like I mean, I'm gonna say it now. I thought he was a money catcher the whole time.
and you still do.
I think by the end of this, yeah, I think he's the last one.
Oh wow. The only reason I'm not gonna say Sungbum is just the edit. Sungbum has probably been pushed towards
That's
being
true.
a money catcher
Like
by
the
the edit
hosts
the
have talked
most.
about it a lot. Yeah, you're right.
And I feel like to me
It
it's the
might turn out to be
person.
Suji instead.
There are a few
Okay.
people that I think could be money catchers, and there's one that's like being talked about the least, and that's the one I think it is.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I just feel like like the way he
Oh,
went
he's cringe
after
as fuck. He's
Suji.
cringe as fuck. And honestly, for his sake, I hope he's a money catcher because he is like not a desirable person if he's a love catcher. Like if this is him being a love catcher, like yeah, I'm way out on this guy.
Like I won't say like anything he did was like wrong or bad, but it
No, he
was
was just
awkward and
cringe.
weird. It was just like he's going too fast. He's just like, I would like to confirm where our relationship is right now or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just like the way he's pushing hard on those fronts felt like, okay, he's trying to figure out if it's time to switch to somebody else because he's a money catcher.
Yeah. But the thing is he also like never really got like there was a period in time in the show where like Soji did switch to texting Young-ho and
Mm-hmm.
Sungbum we didn't get any edit that like Sungbum was like talking to other girls or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um
that's true.
so I'm just chalking it up to like oh this is just how he behaves when he likes somebody, which is not something that would want. Like I
Mm-hmm.
that's not
Yeah.
how the person I would be dating I would want them to behave. But there are people like that, and but I would feel better about him if he ended up being a money catcher because it was like, okay, the pressure got to you as being a money catcher, and you behave this
Mm.
way versus like,
Yeah,
oh, this
yeah.
is you trying to like win over a girl.
So I'll give you my other reason I think it's him. It's our final secret night that we don't know who the host was. Is somebody invites Youngho and he assumes it's Suji. I think it would be crazy if it was Suji. That would be a really dumb move on her part to pick him, you know? Unless she was trying to get him to not pay attention to her anymore or something. I don't know. So I think it's like the Taeyoon Seungyoung situation where she picked her to sort of fake out being the guy that Seungyoung was interested in to like push her away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I feel like Sungbum picked Young Ho for the secret night to be pretend to be Suji and be like, go away. Now that I say it, I do not remember what the silhouette looked like for that one, so maybe it wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think if I ignored the edit of the show, I think
Hmm.
Sungbum makes sense. Like it would make sense if
Yeah.
he was a money catcher. But I've seen the edit of the show, so
Okay.
I
Okay.
just don't. I don't think they would be pushing. I think the person they want the final money catcher to be a shock, and that's why I think it's the person I think it is.
But okay, but there are only so many things they can account for, right? Like they can't like people are making the choice to be a money catcher on their own. How they behave, whether they're good or bad at it,
Yeah,
you
but they
know.
control what we see from the hosts.
Okay, but okay, we have to see well from the host, that's fair. But we have to see Jung Hyung that he's a money catcher because it gets revealed to all the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
the tension of Taeyeon being a money catcher and like all the times that Suru was like, if you're a money catcher, I'm never gonna trust a person again. Like that's just good tension, right? So they had to tell us that she was a money catcher.
Yeah.
And it's possible that their last money catcher was just not that convincing, you know?
It's possible. I mean, what do you think do you think whether or not you think the Taeyeon and Soru like will they switch is like the bigger drama than who like the third money catcher is?
I think it might be.
Okay.
Because like yeah, if you're able to control all aspects of this, yeah, Sungmum would not be your last money catcher. It would be like whoever you think it is.
Yeah.
Um
But the big thing for me is the host comments. So the host when
that's
we
fair.
get these scenes where he's like I really want to know like if you're serious about me. Sungbum is saying this to Soji. The host could be
Mhm.
like the host we could have gotten comments from the host and be like, "Oh, he likes her so much." Like, "Oh yeah, he's so in love or whatever." But instead we're like, oh,
Well,
isn't this like money catcher behavior? Like they put those comments in the
yeah.
show, I think because they want the audience to feel like it's going to be Sungbum, but it's not going to be.
Well, again, like I think they're not planting what the hosts are saying, but yeah, they could have just not edited that in.
Not put
and
in
they would
the
have just
specific,
not
yeah.
Yeah, they would have just not said anything about him in that
Yeah.
scene at all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also like those scenes don't even have to be in the show either, you know?
That's true.
It wasn't even that valuable that we saw Sungbum kind of pushing her into committing to him.
Yeah.
Like if that just wasn't in the show, the story's the same.
That's true.
But it was a scene that got the host to say something that put us on the wrong path. It's just an edit read. I think there are I think there are other people who, without the edit, have like an equal chance of being the money catcher, and I'm just picking from that list of people. I'm picking from the edit, basically.
I don't really like Sungbum as a person, like on the show, like as a character either. So like that also influences like if I think he's a money catcher.
Really? Oh, but because, I'm like, the opposite.
I have the opposite opinion of money catchers.
Money catchers are actual bad people. So if you're a bad person,
not actual bad people, but just like I don't know. It's like there's something that rubs me the wrong way about this. Like if he's a money catcher, the inauthenticity this whole time of like wooing this girl that he's not really interested in, like that's a bummer, you know?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just not who I'm gonna pick.
Yeah.
Would you let that, if you were on the Traders, would you let that would you be a victim of that logic?
Like, you know I would be terrible.
I don't really like this person. I don't really like this person. They're probably a traitor. That's literally how the faithfuls lose.
My strategy of traders is to play an independent game, so I really don't care who's a traitor or not. I just want everybody off the show except for me at the end, right? So whatever.
I mean, you still have to know who the traders are at the end of the game. I mean, you saw season 1.
Yeah.
You stick with the people you like. It might not work out for you.
Absolutely true.
Okay, anything else between Young Ho and Sungbum? Did we cover them? Sungbum is going to be in the finale with Soji. Soji is going to pick him, right?
Yes.
Are we ready to talk about Soji?
I think it's time.
It's just Soji and then Taeyeon and Soru, right? Those are the last
and Sungyeon.
Okay, we'll talk about Sungyeon later. Okay, let's talk about Let's talk about our third trader. I mean, our third.
Okay.
Let's talk about our third money catcher, Suji.
Now, I do feel like the hosts have occasionally been like, what if Suji is the...
They slipped it in a couple times, but it wasn't as heavily pushed.
Yeah.
Suji, we've only seen this season of the show, so I could be being over influenced by how the edit of this particular season has gone. But Suji, the entire season, has been doing exactly what Junghyun did, which is he waffled between two people because he didn't want to commit. Like Suji has texted
both of them,
Young Ho and also Sungbum, like back and forth, at least in the beginning, and then she eventually committed to Sungbum more towards the end.
Yeah, you
say that you think she dislikes Sungbum more, and that's what ultimately gets her to decide what she thinks. But we do at least get a confessional from her early on that after she goes to that secret night, she thinks Young Ho is the money catcher.
Yeah.
So in her mind, at least, she had like a big period of time in the show where she might have convinced herself of that, whether or not obviously it was wrong. And then, I mean, I think she does text Young Ho after that. So I don't know. Again, she wasn't really committing either way.
She gives an excuse later when she's talking about how she thinks Young Ho is the money catcher. She's like, yeah, but I got wrapped up in it and like forgot myself for a little while and got drawn in by him. But then I remembered, that he's probably a money catcher or something along those lines is her excuse for why she texts him in the middle of the show.
Yeah. To me, Soji, she waffled in between the two guys, the same as Junghyun. And then from my perspective, like the entire season, you could even go back to when like the women had the talk about like who the money catchers were.
Yeah.
Like she seemed like a little engaged in that conversation. Like she was like, "Oh, you guys think this person's a money catcher? Like, that's interesting. That's not what
Well,
I
I think
was
like
thinking. But
literally everybody else was like, "There's no way Young Ho's a money catcher," and she's like, "No, I think he is."
yeah, because she had
I
that
think that like
the
that's what
secret
she
night.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but she also like cared too. Like there were other people, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, that were like, I don't really care if somebody's a money catcher or not. I'm just gonna go with the person I like. I think even
Yeah,
Taeyeon might have said that, which is actually pretty great in retrospect.
yeah, yeah.
I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
Taeyeon fan. Just so
Yeah, yeah. I like her a lot.
you know. She's doing the ultimate money catcher. She might get got by this twist at the end, but she almost might pull it off. We'll
Yeah.
see. Um,
Oh, you think she? Well, we'll talk about it when we get.
yeah, we'll talk about it. But I don't know. To me, I feel like Soji's presence on the show is a lot of like the guys coming to her and then
Mm-hmm.
her just kind of turning it on, especially in the early parts. Like, I don't know. To me, she never seemed engaged romantically. I don't know how to really say it. I
Really?
to me, like she has moments that are like cute date moments, but I feel like those
Mm-hmm.
moments to me were just moments where she had the energy to like put on the front.
Mm.
Let me go to I think there's a big quote. No, this doesn't necessarily have to be her, but the quote in the second secret night is Young Ho asks, "Did you ever regret choosing to be a money catcher?" They just say, "I think I might happen to regret it." But then he says, "What is your definition of love?" And the host of the second secret night says, "Something you cannot find in a week."
Yeah.
I just feel like Soji has the face of somebody that doesn't believe you can find love in a week. Like I don't think
Okay.
she ever believed. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling any sincerity at a romantic level at like any point of the show for her.
Okay.
Like, did she really go out of her way to express herself romantically for any of the guys? I feel like it was a lot of just them coming to her, and then she would try to engage with them until the next guy came around, and then yeah, I do think she likes Sungbum more. I do kind of agree with that, and that did influence who she chose. So
Yeah.
she might not be thinking totally strategically, but I don't know. I just feel like that quote of something you can't find in a week. I believe so much that she said that versus anybody else. Um,
Okay.
unless Taehyuk is a god tier actor, and I'm kind of rooting for that also.
Okay, so your alternative is Taehyuk. Okay.
I would actually put Sungbum third on the who's the third
Okay.
on my
Okay.
pick, and then I would go Suji, Taehyuk, and then Sungbum as those are my
I think
who's the
Suji would
third
be my second
second.
because like it just I don't know, it makes sense that somebody in that weird group of three people, that love triangle, is, a money catcher. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. When I was watching Suji, I got a lot of like, oh, what's her name? Solgi from Singles Inferno 2 vibes. Where
Yeah, I see
like
that. I see that. Yeah.
it was the same sort of like it didn't feel like she was reacting hugely to either anybody who was coming after her. But like, I don't know, in the end something was meaningful to her about one of them. And I feel like by the end of this, like when she goes on that trip with Sungbum, like they seem pretty close and like they seem cute together in a way where I feel like she's acting like she's into everything authentically, but she might just be a good actress.
Chalchis
But
might just have a good time with him, but also
yeah,
doesn't believe you can find love in a week. So
yeah,
she's still here for the money. The difference in Singles Inferno, though, is that like things were left out of the edit in Singles Inferno
that is
that
true.
would have clued us in on like, oh, Silgi actually has like good interactions and might have feelings for the person she ultimately chose in the end. Whereas on this show, like I don't think anything was like left out. Like you think they were? I don't know. I don't
Well,
think
like when they go swimming together the one morning, they're like having a real great
she
time.
likes to swim. She had a good time swimming. She could still have. You
Okay.
can still have a good time and be a money catcher.
There is a moment though, like when they're on this trip at the end, right? And they're gonna go swimming, and she like changes into the swimsuit she brought and like quick opens the door so he can look at it. And it is like much smaller than the swimsuit she ends up wearing, right? Like she didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to have this moment of like, hey, look at me in my extra sexy swimsuit before I change into the one that you bought me.
Yeah,
Like it
she didn't
just
have to, but
feels
she's a fucking money catcher and is sealing the fucking deal. Sarah, are you serious?
I don't know. It
Let's
just felt
go,
more authentic. I might be wrong,
Suji.
but
Let's
like I just
go.
I don't know. She might also be a money catcher who is also into this dude. Like, who knows? She might change at the end,
That's true
or
too.
she might just be like real good at playing it till the end game, you know? I don't know.
I'm rooting for Suji.
Okay.
I think I won't like her if she ends up being a love catcher, but as a money catcher, I'm like, yes, you did it. I don't know. I feel like the swimsuit thing is more of a money catcher move.
Is it? Because at this
Well,
point
it depends on how you
she doesn't
feel
need
about
to
it.
do anything to like persuade him, right? Like she's acting cute in the other way. She's choosing to like make their time together a little bit more intimate, you know?
My read is that I think she ended up waffling back and forth between which one was a money catcher between Sungbom and Youngho,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that she just kind of just gave up on trying to figure it out and just chose the guy that she enjoyed more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
Obviously we know like if she's a money catcher and that's her goal, like she made the wrong choice because we know
Yeah.
for sure that he's the love catcher, or Youngho's love catcher. But from her perspective, like she still is not sure if she's chosen a money catcher or not, right? And she doesn't do the
Right.
swimsuit thing until after they read the note, right? That says like, "Oh, you can switch," right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you know,
So
she brought the swimsuit for a reason, right? She was like, "This is my ace in the
yeah.
hole."
Okay. Okay.
If I'm not sure in the end,
All right.
and I'm rooting for her to win as a money catcher. I'll make that clear. I want
Okay.
her to succeed with this effort. No shame, just win. I'm talking
All right.
$50,000. Well, that
All right.
maybe it was a pricey swimsuit, but it couldn't have been more than $50,000.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Sungbom just like collapses on the bed after seeing her in the swimsuit. That was
I
good.
mean, which is totally the right thing to do.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Do you think Sungbom's that good? That I don't know if he was just a money catcher the whole time and he's still doing that. I mean, he could be a money catcher that switches also, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, so that's my pick, and I think
All right.
it's mostly an edit read because I do think what you're saying makes a lot of sense with Sungbom. It's just this is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
will be the surprise. Like this will be the most surprising, I think,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of the narrative they're
That's
setting
fair.
up. Yeah,
I think I'm counting on a lot of the drama of the end being the Tay and Suru situation.
yeah, I think that will be good. Okay. Anything else with Suji as far as? Let me throw out some. Let's go. Let me scroll down
We
to my
got some of
notes.
these
The truth game. The
truth
truth
and X.
game.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Did Suji not seem a little bit nervous? She was the one asking questions. She was like, so can we say no comment on the last question? Is that allowed? Are we allowed to do that, guys?
Oh no, no, no! I thought that was Taeyeon that brought that up.
No. I think she brought it up, and then Tan was like, "Of course you can say no comment on the last question. It doesn't say you can't in the rules."
Okay, okay.
But also, you're only allowed to say no comment to one question, right?
Yes.
And then one of the guys, or like I forget who it was, somebody asked her like, "Who did you buy?" There was this whole like gift buying thing, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Who'd you buy your gift for today?" And she had to answer that question. So Suji did,
Yeah.
and she like hesitated for a second, which could just, I mean, people just hesitate, but also it's like, I kind of have to save my no comment for the last question. So
Well, they had already established at that point that they weren't going to let them use it, so she shouldn't have been too
maybe, I don't know.
concerned about
But
it.
she decides to answer the question, which I feel like it is the kind of question that people tend to say no comment to on these shows.
We actually didn't get a lot of no comments. I think we only got like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
Most people just answered things.
yeah, that's a good way to go. Is there anything else from Soji?
No, I think most of the Truth Night stuff with her though.
Oh,
Is just
other
this
thing.
back
No,
and forth
here we
between
go.
her.
Here we go.
Okay, okay.
Come at me. Here we go. So
Mm-hmm.
Taehyuk got to ask the last question
Right.
of who, if you're a money collector or not. But Suji got to
Picked
ask
him
the
as the
second to
last.
last
Okay,
question,
okay,
and she spent a lot of time thinking about this. I think from what we saw, and she
okay.
I like I think Taehyuk had gotten no questions up till this
He had
point.
gotten no
Nobody
questions,
gave a shit about Taehyuk.
but he did speak up at one point going, I would like to be able to ask the last question.
He did
We
say
did
that,
see him make that request.
which set up Suji perfectly
yes.
for as a reason for picking him.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's no way Suji gives a shit about anything Taehyuk has. Like, whatever question she was gonna ask, there's no way she gives a shit, right?
Okay, well, think about it this way. If she's a love catcher, who could she pick to ask that question that would benefit her? Like I don't think there's anybody, maybe Hyojin? Like cuz nobody else is interested in Sungbum, right? So if she's mostly interested in him, there's nobody she can get to ask him if he's a love catcher or a money catcher. So I think at best she could get Hyojin to ask Youngho if he's one. But at this point I really don't think she cares about him anymore.
Okay, so you're thinking of if she's a love catcher and if you're a love catcher, do you want to get asked the question or no, or still no?
I think if you're a love catcher, you want to pick somebody who will ask a person you're interested in, right?
But do you want to get asked
that's
yourself
the way you
or no? I guess not, because you don't want money catchers to know you're a love catcher.
Right. And unless you have somebody doubting you real strongly like Youngho does with Suji, you don't have a need to answer it. So like the beneficial thing would be to like clear with the person you're interested in, but that only works if there's another person who's interested in your person, if you're in this second to last question awkward situation.
I just feel like Taehyuk was like, okay, there's no, like, he's excited to ask somebody this question and there's no way it's me.
Yeah.
So
but I think if she's a love
dodging.
catcher, it's similarly like there's no way I can use this last question to my benefit, and he's excited, might as well pick him.
But the question she asked to Taehyuk was like a wasted question that she could have used on somebody else. You know what I mean? But she was like, it's more important that I waste this question on Taehyuk because he won't choose me.
You could see it that way, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
I saw it as she really had no skin in the game at the end and went, yeah, he really wants it, sure, why not?
Yeah. The only person that said no comment was Taehyuk when somebody was like, do you want to spend more time with Yoo-jung in Seoul? Or is there anybody you want to spend more time with in Seoul? Yeah. And he was like, no comment. Because his whole thing was like, this is the kind of the reason I don't feel like he's a money catcher, even though I feel like as an actor he should be. Is like his whole thing was like, he didn't want to make Yoo-jung like feel uncomfortable, right? That, like he was only interested in her, so he said no comment because he didn't want to make her feel like pressured, or even just feel like she had a guy that was obsessed with him, or I don't even know. It was like he kind of just wanted her to get over him and not have to think about him if she wasn't gonna choose him anyway. Which doesn't feel like a very money catchery move to me, but I guess it like it works in the end though. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Hyojin also had a question about like name the person between the two you're interested in, who you're more interested in, and she used her no comment there, which I think was a solid use of a no comment when you're still waffling at the end.
Yeah. Plus, she didn't care about answering the last question.
Yeah.
Yeah, highly suspect, Suji.
Okay.
Anything else with Suji?
I don't know. I did not enjoy her on their group date.
I don't think she was particularly like, I never really liked her, but if she's gonna be the money catcher, then I'm all about it.
That's fair. I was just put off how she was like dragging this man who can't swim along to swim, and then she's like, "No, we're gonna take off our."
She didn't.
I mean, she. That's true, but she also didn't like. We didn't see her stop him, or I don't know. If I was on a date with somebody I was interested in, or probably even not, and they were like, "I can't swim," I wouldn't be like, "Well, I'm gonna go down there, but I'm gonna take off all my protective stuff and go down."
Oh,
bye.
Yeah,
like it true. Just I just.
Yo, she likes swimming. She wanted to dive. It's that simple.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's probably like she doesn't get a chance to do this that often or whatever, I guess. But like, I don't know. It just felt very not considerate, and I didn't particularly enjoy her right then.
On like other shows, she would just be like the stereotypical girl who like all the guys like, and we're getting nothing from her. It's like Gia from like season 1 of Singles Inferno, or like yeah. But imagine if Gia was a money catcher the whole time. Now we're talking. Now they're talking about some good TV. All right,
that's fair.
Yeah, and she should get more money because she got more than one ring.
That's true.
Change the rules. Okay, because I like the idea that like, oh, you might be inclined to think somebody's a money catcher if like you can tell that they might get more than one ring. It's like, oh, they're still putting the work with more than one person. That's a little suspicious. Because right now there's really not much for the the love catchers to go off of other than basically the truth game. Like they got the one was
Yeah.
revealed. Even if you go to the secret nights, it doesn't really help you.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like there could have been one money catcher in the game, and they were the host on like all 3 secret nights, you know. It doesn't really help you.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the core 7 that are all kind of
That's
intertwined.
the line of people who were interested in people who were not interested in them. It was like a whole weird, I don't know what shape it was.
Yeah, except for Sungbum and Suji.
Yeah, except at the end.
Yeah. And then we get another couple from
We have a love triangle left. Or a couple and a person who wants to infiltrate.
The other couple from the group of the jumbled up 7 is Tae.
Oh, yeah.
Taehyuk and Yoojong. All right.
Yeah, but I don't believe in
Let's
that
do
couple, so okay.
let's do Sungyoung first. Sungyoung I thought was going to be a total non-factor on this show based on the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But she does, her story I think was interesting enough. To be like the least interesting person on the show, I thought she still had a story and a presence on the show.
Yeah. I think by day 3 she has decided she is super into Suru and is going to pursue him even though he is clearly coupled off with Taeyoon 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
That was so kind of out of nowhere too. Like we didn't have any indication of who she really liked at all, I don't think. I think she texted Young-ho on the first day.
Yes.
But then on day 3 she just told like Hyojin or something. She was just like, I've decided who I'm choosing in the end. And it's Suru. And I was like, oh, okay. And at first I was like, is she just reading Suru like me? Like he's like the most definite love catcher out there. And I'm just going to choose the most definite love catcher and try to win him over. Like I was really confused. But ultimately, like she just has to just like him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They are similar in age. The Suru is like the youngest person on the show, and she's the second youngest. So she might have liked that aspect of them. Also, Suru's, good looking guy.
He looks like Shonu from Monsta X, so yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but for Sungyoung, the having to kayak by herself was like
gosh,
very depressing, and you're almost like when you're watching it, you're like angry at the show. You're like, why would this TV show make her do this?
And then there's a point where like their paths cross and they have to like cross each
well.
other in the like really narrow
did you catch
bit of water.
I don't think she was paddling at times, but I feel like somebody else. I think
she's being towed along.
Yeah, she was being towed along for sure.
She was just like half-hearted, like putting a paddle in every now and then. But
yeah, it was so sad, but it was like it was something. It gave us something on the show. But what I like is I feel like by the end we got to see like genuinely who she was, and she was like the least interesting person in the show. But we still, if you want everybody that's on the show to be part of the show, this show accomplished that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now I want to get your thoughts on Sungyoung overall, though, because what are your thoughts on Sungyoung?
Like first
I
episode,
think I could draw some parallels to people that you've talked about in the past, maybe.
Oh, okay.
All right.
First episode, I didn't really like her. She came in with this strong party girl energy, but I don't know. Watching more of the season, it feels like that was just like she was real awkward in that first meeting, and that's really I think what we were mostly getting. She gives it an honest effort with Suru, but she does like keep coming back. Like he tells her very clearly, like I think the first time she even says anything to him about how she feels, he's like, I am only interested in one person on the show. Y'all know who it is. I'm not changing my mind. And she's like, okay, but I'm gonna come back later trying to change your mind. And she does come back a couple more times to be like, hey. Oh, and she does when they do the date where they pick the pictures. Haeun sees the picture that she's like, 100% this is Suru's. I'm gonna pick it. And then Sungyoung's like, why don't we rock, paper, scissors?
Smart.
And so she got to pick first, and then she took it, and then Taeyoon was pissed. So like the actual tension in the house of like real people drama came from this. I think it was a gutsy move. I know what parallels you're gonna make to all the other times on shows I've been annoyed at somebody who's just honed in on one person and
not
refuses
just that.
to let
There's
go.
a whole other level.
And like keeps coming back. Oh, what's
Yep,
the other
yep,
level?
yep. No,
The
you
keeps
said
coming
it.
back and pushing.
Yep.
Yeah. She came back too many times.
Are you disgusted with Sung Young's behavior on this TV show?
That sad canoe or kayak time, I think probably softened my heart to her a lot. But yeah, I think she probably has worse behavior than other people I've complained about because
Yes, yes.
on
I
other
would definitely
shows,
say that.
people are very vague when they're sort of not really rejecting somebody, but not exchanging that interest. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
here, Suru is clearly like, no, I'm set on this show. I like that girl, and that's it. But she keeps coming back, which
Yeah.
sucks.
Also, the person you complained about in Singles Inferno season 1 ended up
Mm-hmm.
getting picked by the girl that he was doing this with.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's not going to. I have no problem with what So Young did on this TV show. She has to be on the TV show. Better to do something on the TV show than nothing on the TV show. You could say like, hey, if you're watching the show, don't go do this in real life. That's fine. But I'm fine with it. But I feel like you have to, by your own standard, you have to be
Yeah.
disgusted by Sung Young's behavior on the show.
Okay, so I think part of the problem I always have with these sort of storylines is that frequently it's a guy going after a girl, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Singles Inferno season 1 situation, he gets her in the end. And so in that way it tells a story that normalizes this behavior of if you just keep at it, she'll give in, like, and that's a very like masculine story we tell in society, right? Like we don't
Mm.
tell women that same thing. And in the way that like that's a bad time for a woman is not always true in society when it goes the other way around. I mean, it absolutely can. But like the ways it can break bad in real life when people apply that to their real lives tend to go really poorly for women. And so that's why I'm very sensitive to that sort of dynamic and that storytelling. It doesn't hit me as hard here because again, like the story in the end is not that she prevails. So we're not normalizing this behavior. And like she is less of a threat, than like a man doing this in the general world. You know what I mean? So like that I would say is the distinction for me. But I also don't love that she keeps at it the whole time.
Were you not rooting for her to win though? I mean, there was like no
I wasn't
chance at any point in the show, but like
no, I was
Taeyeon's a money catcher, right?
even though Taeyeon's a money catcher, the time she and Suru spend together is so like captivating, like convincing to me. It feels very authentic, even though she is a money catcher. That I rooted for them the whole fucking time. I'm still rooting for them. We
Really?
haven't seen this last hour of TV. Who knows? So yeah, I was not rooting for Sungyeon to come in here and save Suru, especially because before Taeyeon was revealed as a money catcher, I thought Suru was the money catcher.
Yeah, you thought that in the first 2 episodes. I was
Yeah.
convinced in the beginning that there's no way Suru is a just like you don't behave the way that he does and you're trying to be a money catcher on the show. That's how I felt in the first episodes. Now, I could be wrong. Like maybe they're both money catchers.
Like it felt weird that like they were both equally very okay with this age gap, like that it was outside of both of their, like ahead of time they had established ranges that would be okay, and then they find out they're outside of that range, and then they're like, yeah, fuck
Yeah,
it.
but it's way weirder that the older woman is okay with it because that usually does not fly on these shows, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Now they could still both
Strictly
be money
from a
catchers, but
show perspective. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah. Okay. So that's Sung Young. She had a very sad story.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I bet people were rooting for her, similar to how they were rooting for other people you complained about.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the past. I felt in terms of if I remove the like stereotypical like men and women, like the role they usually have
Mm-hmm.
in this kind of story, if I remove that, like I felt like she was making like Suru like more uncomfortable than like Singles Inferno season 1.
Okay.
So like in that sense it was worse, but like I get what you're talking about in terms of like at least this like being on TV and people are going to see it and what people are going to think about it. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't feel very it doesn't feel scary when
Yeah.
when Suru is the guy that's being put in the
Yeah,
awkward
yeah.
situation with a 5'2" whatever girl.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same, but if you were to remove that, I do think Sung Young like pushed it further to make it more uncomfortable for the
Mm.
person she was going after. But again, I'm fine with it. What else is she gonna do on the show? we got to know her. She likes
hmm
guys that look like Suru.
She should be a Monsta X
I
fan.
like Suru a little bit. Like he, for being the youngest guy of the show, he might have like one of the best attitudes about
Mm.
like being on this show, but also just like relationships in general. Like I don't know, he's pretty mature in the relationship department compared to most people we see on
Okay.
these shows. I don't know. I was
I mean,
impressed
he
by
does
him.
kind of like towards the end of the show, he does start to almost, I don't want to say spiral, but like he starts to get suspicious and like starts spitting out stuff like, if you're a money catcher, I'm never trusting anyone again.
Well, that
Like,
yeah,
which
yeah,
feels
but
a
that's
little
probably real.
much.
It's probably real.
That's true. Yeah.
He's like, I finally got an older woman to like me, and I love it, and she's great. It's like it's gonna be awesome. But if she's a love catcher, I mean, if she's a money catcher, like I literally can never trust anybody again, and I need her to know that. Or
Okay.
is he a money catcher that is
And he's like
realizing
really trying to pressure her to like
he's
change.
realizing that she's a money catcher, and he's like, I'm not switching to being a love catcher, so I might as well try to guilt her into doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you will fuck me up for the rest of my life if you are a money catcher at the end of this game.
You're the older person in this semi relationship. You have to take responsibility for this kind
Yeah.
of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get to the probably main event of this TV show.
Yeah.
We have Suru and Taeyeon. They were the first two in the quote unquote club. No, it wasn't Beach Club. It was
no,
like
it was
fancy
the restaurant. Yeah. Yeah. They bonded over not drinking.
Yeah. Mostly Suru. There's some weird things in the whole drink. I focused on the drinking thing a lot in the first episodes because we didn't have a lot to go off of. But I was like, there's no way you're coming on the show and being like, I don't drink alcohol at all, and you're a money catcher. Like, like a lot of the bonding on these shows centers around drinking late into the night, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are you going to be a money catcher? Just handicap yourself, like. Even if you
Although I
don't
feel
drink, like I was like, if I was on the show, I don't drink, but I would drink in order to win $50,000 on the show.
Like, I know that drinking happened on this show, but I feel like it's not highlighted as heavily as it is on something like Heart Signal, where it's like every night, or
Yeah.
Transit Love, where every night they're ending the night with the big drinking.
Those shows, the other thing that's so great about the show that we didn't bring up, it's only 8 episodes. Thank you,
Yeah.
this show. Literally double the amount of episodes in those other shows we're talking about. Like, they have to show every time they drink because they have to fill these 90 plus minute time slots for 16 episodes. This show, they gave us everything. Like, this show with less episodes was able to give us a story for all 10 participants on the TV show.
It's pretty good.
And on other shows, they can't do it.
Yeah.
With more episodes and more time. This show is doing it for me. Just my speed. Okay. Yeah, so we were flipped on these where I had Tan as the money catcher and you had
I had Suru, yeah.
Suru and Love.
We both agreed there was something fishy about this situation, though.
Yeah. And I felt she was very like, okay, he said she didn't drink. And then she was like, oh, yeah, I don't really drink either. But then she did drink at like the first get together at the house, right? But then
I think they did like a toast, and then she immediately went, "Oh, it's so gross," to like highlight how much she didn't like it.
And then when Taehyuk shows up and they're talking about the normal, like, hey, do you drink? She's like, I do not drink at all. And I was like, I saw you drink once. Your tone has changed on this, and that's probably because she was like, I have already found the person that I'm going to fool. There's no reason to mess this up. I don't drink at all from now on for the rest of the show.
What kills me, though, is when they meet in the restaurant at the beginning. This is before they choose their roles. Like, the eyes she was making at this man, I was like, she's head over heels about him. Like, she's absolutely in it with this guy. Like,
But he also looked
but
mad young. And she's 31. Like, she knows she's the oldest person on the season, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
It's like, she's not here for love. Come on. What are the chances she's here for love if she's the oldest person on the season? Yeah, I don't know how interesting this would be without the love or money twist. Like, this would just be a couple that decided to be a couple. And
Yeah,
they were a
we
couple the whole
wouldn't see them for
show.
the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than this, like, So Young situation.
Potentially, Taeyeon has no interest in him whatsoever if there's no love or money aspect on the show also.
So you don't believe her. Like, ever since she's been revealed as a money catcher to the audience, like in her confessional, she's been like, I wanna switch. Like, I hope they let me switch.
The
Do
producers
you
got
not
her to
believe
say
that?
the thing that needs to be said
Okay.
to cause drama. I'm just from a statistical standpoint on the
Okay.
data that we've gathered from watching all these Korean dating shows.
You're really
They're,
stuck with the he's so young
a
situation.
2-year
Okay.
gap of the woman being older than the guy doesn't usually work out.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Doesn't
Mhm.
usually work out. We're talking 8-year gap of the woman being the older one.
Yeah.
It is just so unlikely.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You're
like
not
if
wrong.
you had to bet money on will she switch or won't she, I think you're crazy to go with betting that
But
she's.
they've just been so cute together all season. I want to believe.
But who's making it cuter though?
I think they're both being pretty cute at each other.
He's the one saying a lot of the stuff. I don't know.
There's something about the way she looks at him that is just like so
She's
cute.
good. She's good. And again, she could still like him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, do I want $50,000 or do I want to break up with this guy after I leave the show? It's like,
Yeah.
like I still had a good time on this vacation getaway, and I also want
Yeah, you're right. It's
$50,000.
probably a
It's like,
very good like vacation romance,
Yeah,
like not
it's
gonna work in the
perfect.
real world. Yeah.
It's perfect.
But now that he has expressed how much he will be traumatized if she is a money catcher, you don't think that's gonna influence if she switches or not?
Yeah, she's too smart for that shit. She's not a sucker.
Okay.
You think, because there's a non-zero chance she switches and then he switches to money catcher and then she gets absolutely.
Oh, well, yeah, especially
Fucked.
because he is about to find out that she is a money catcher. Like the part at which we stopped in the show, he is about to find out.
Yeah. No, she's not switching. I'm gonna say she doesn't switch. And again, I'm gonna pretty much say everybody should be a money catcher by the end. So yeah, it's also kind of an edit read of just like we got the confessional that said she wants to switch. So it's like, she probably won't. Because we only got that confessional like right after we found out she was a money catcher.
Yeah.
Like every single money catcher is gonna tell us in this show that gets revealed is gonna tell us that they're willing to switch.
I don't know. She seemed kind of panicked about it though. Like she was like, I don't want it to be revealed. Like when they were doing the truth or night, she's like, I don't want him to find out this way. I want to be able to talk. Like I want to be the one to tell him. Like
I
so
want him
he
to find out
knows.
when I have the $50,000 in my
Well,
pocket.
okay, yeah, yeah, okay, I guess. I don't know.
I don't want him to find
believe
out
they're cute.
before and then screw it up. Screw up my plans.
But like, I think like with Jung Hyung, when he was outed at the night of truth, like I don't feel like his "but I want to change" was nearly as sincere and like desperate as like.
Oh yeah, he
her
wasn't sincere at all
confessionals have
either.
been. Yeah, he was just like, I'm willing to change. Yeah, totally. Whereas like,
Plus, he definitely
If
lied,
he
and
was-
then production was like, "Nah, you gotta tell the truth."
also
So that it
probably
really didn't seem sincere at that point.
yeah. I don't know. I want to believe her. I want a cute ending for them, even though like
This
in the
was your
real world,
couple.
like they're not gonna work out.
So
Yeah,
this was your
my
couple,
the
and
whole
not just
time.
like an entertainment. You were like, "No, this is the couple I want to be love catchers at the end."
yeah.
Wow. Nah. Give me. I would rather her win as a money catcher.
Really?
Honestly, I mean, if they both end up being money catchers, that's probably I would be impressed with both of them.
Okay.
Actually, I'm already kind of impressed with both of them. Like Suru is just. I just think he's been impressive, even if he ends up getting fooled or
Mhm.
doing the naive thing of sticking to being a love catcher. But I definitely want Taeyeon to stay money and win, just because I think she's kind of getting screwed by like the twist at the end here. It's just kind of unlucky that she didn't answer the phone.
Yeah. Or like production chose when to call based on who was alone in the room at the time.
Maybe I think they were equal. There were scenes with like Sungbum and Suji where like Sungbum was in the bathroom when they called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
Like
was
that was a
thinking,
choice.
well,
Yeah.
I was thinking they would want Sungbum. Oh, maybe okay, here we go. This is how you can read it. So they wanted
Like I
Suji
think they
to
yeah,
answer
okay,
the
so now I
phone.
think you're talking me into it being Suji
Oh, I
because
was about to talk
yeah.
myself into being Sungbum.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say like do you want the big reveal at the night before the final or the final moment? But I guess the fact that they can change kind of messes it up, right? Because it could just be so our big moment during the night before is where Suru finds out because we know that's certain. Like, and so he's going to have a big emotional response. So that'll be our big arc there. But then at the end, we got to get somebody betraying somebody, right? So maybe we get Yu Jung has switched to being a money catcher, but like that's not a big impact because nobody believes that relationship, right? But then if Suji is also a money catcher at the end, that's your big heavy hitter for the final moment.
Yeah. It's also going to be a big moment when Sungbum is revealed to be a love catcher, if you look at it that way. Because, like,
Mm,
they've hyped up
yeah.
Sungbum's a money catcher potentially the whole season. And now we're going to get this moment where Suji finds out he's a love catcher and we'll be like, oh, wow, he's a love catcher. And then we're going to get another moment where it's like, oh my God, Suji was the money
Yeah.
catcher. Like, we get
Okay.
two big
You've
moments.
talked me into it.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. Okay. I was about to talk myself out of it, but then you reeled me back in. All right. Yeah, so what scenes, I mean, they were great. I mean, if there was no love or money aspect of the show, like they're the couple, they're like laying on each other's laps.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about
Yep.
Soru and Taeyeon. And they're just a couple that's like not afraid to show a little bit of affection, and they're into each other.
Yeah, I feel like they're the coupliest couple we've seen on one of these shows, right? Like they get much more cutesy and cuddly with each other than like I think we've seen with anybody on these shows.
But I think that's partially because it's like they coupled up early, they never wavered, and there's a reason to show them because one of them's a money catcher. So it's like it's like watching Traders and knowing who the traders are. It's like we get to see how Taeyeon is behaving as a money catcher, which makes it interesting, even though we already know who she's going to pick.
I just still I hope she switches.
She still might.
To be true.
She still might. I just really don't want her to.
I love the like I love an older woman, younger man story because it like fucks with the like patriarchal expectations we have in society of things that are okay, right? Like
you still get the story. Like she's the one winning the money, you know? It's like she got the guy and was like, nah, I'd rather have the money.
I mean, okay, if you put it that way, sure. But and then like it also comes at that like for once we will have the youngest man on a show actually gets the girl. Like that has never happened in any of these shows, and I would love to break that trend.
The only way it can happen is on Love and Money, where the woman is actually a money catcher. It's the only way.
No. I'm still gonna vote for she switches at the end. It might not be what happens, but it's what my heart wants.
Okay. I mean, I think in terms of like, I mean, I guess maybe it's making the point if she stays money catcher, like young guys don't get fooled by these older women. They'll never be interested in you. If they're interested in you, it's for some other reason.
I don't like that narrative either.
Well, it's like if you look at it from that perspective, it's sad, I guess. But if you look at it from the perspective like, oh, I want to see these women getting the younger guys interested in them, like it's still a success story from that standpoint.
I guess.
Like, yeah, she's crushing it.
Yeah, I guess.
It didn't seem that hard. It was just like, the youngest guy likes me. Sure, I like him too. And then, you're 31, you know how to act like you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Done it before.
Fine. I get it.
All right. What anything else you want to talk about with Soru and Taeyeon in terms of what you liked?
I mean, they were cute, and you're gonna ruin it with all your talk.
I mean, the show would have ruined it regardless.
Yeah.
I'm just preparing you so you're not even more disappointed than you would
I
have.
just want to hold on to it for a little bit longer.
Sure, I mean, there's no guarantee I'm right. I just made a
You're
convincing argument.
probably
That's
right.
all.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It's
no,
a
no,
very
no.
convincing argument.
Okay. Yeah. So final picks. Are we doing final picks? Is there any like just little things that happened in the show that you want to talk about?
um,
They did the weird gifting thing. I didn't even like.
yeah.
There were some funny scenes that happened from it where like what was the thing was like they did it before the whole truth game, which was
Truth, yeah.
awkward. So like
But they got the gifts after the truth game.
no, they got
so,
them before
like,
before the truth game, but gave them after the truth game.
yeah. They bought them, and then so it was an awkward timing.
Yu Jung bought a cutting board for Jung Hyung,
Jung Hung.
and then gave it to him afterwards. But Jung Hyung had bought a cutting board for Hyojin or something.
Didn't somebody else also buy him a cutting board, or am I just making that up? I might be making that up.
Or Yu Jung also bought herself a cutting board, so they would have like a matching.
Oh, that's what it is.
pair.
Yes,
Yeah.
matching set. Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because like Hyojin and Yu Jung are like roommates, and Hyojin opens it and is like, "It's a cutting board. This must be from Jung Hyung." Wait, and like she knew that Yu Jung got Jung Hyung.
Yeah.
A cutting board is like, I better hide this and never show her.
Mm-hmm.
That's too fucked up.
Yep.
That was probably the best thing that happened out of the gifts. Everything else was just
That's pretty
whatever. Yeah, all right. We just want to do.
Yeah, I think it's
All
time
right.
locking our guesses.
All right, we only have to block in one. Who do we think the love catcher was from the money catcher was from the beginning that we don't know about?
Mm-hmm.
I am sticking with Suji. I might have convinced you, but you want to.
You've convinced me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Suji now.
But your backup is Sungbong.
Yes.
Whereas my backup, I think, would be Taesuk. Maybe Sungbong's a better backup, actually. I don't know. Or not Taesuk, Taehyuk, yeah. I just feel it's so wrong that he came on the show and wasn't a money catcher. It just feels wrong.
7 people on the show disappointed you and came on as love catchers.
Okay, let me give you the I forgot about this. Let me give you the Taehyuk sell as he could be a money catcher. Okay.
Yeah.
So the show starts, right? And there's 9 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then only 2 people are money catchers. So then
the production is like, please be a money catcher.
So the production like may have more than one person ready to go. And it's like, okay, let's choose a person that's going to be a money catcher because we need more money catchers on this show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also, he happens to be an actor that maybe could do what we want him to do.
Okay.
So it made a lot of sense that he would be, especially when I found out there's only 3. Like it made a lot of sense that he would be money catcher. But
except then we have a situation where he has invited Young Ho to the secret night. And it may just be a wild, like, trying not to get anybody suspicious of him. But it's like, why? Why did that happen?
So I think, so if you're the producers, right, and you have
Mm-hmm.
a limited amount of money catchers, right, and
they could have just been like, pick this guy because we'll be able to make a better story out of it. Okay.
But you have to think about like what are the situations that make secret night worth it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's worth it if you're going to invite somebody who is between 2 people, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't have to be between 2 people, but like you invite somebody that's between 2 people, and it really doesn't even matter who the money catcher is. It's like they don't get to see it. And if you go to the questions,
none of them are like identifying information at all.
Yeah, they're pretty like standard questions, like anybody would act. Like none of them are really identifying information from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the questions that I'm trying to find them.
Like in theory, the money catcher, like, I forget, are the rules you have to tell the truth in this hut? Because I guess the money catcher does ask, like, are you a money catcher or whatever to the person they've invited.
Yeah, I don't think you have to tell the truth.
Yeah, if you don't have to tell the truth, it's really like you're not gathering any
I feel like the
information.
money catchers have to tell the truth, but if there's anything that would like identify them, maybe they don't. But like, yeah, because like Suji got asked like, "Are you a money catcher?" Didn't she? And she said,
"Yeah, I think so." Or now I can't remember.
Maybe she didn't get exactly that. Okay, but here are the questions.
She might have asked the host, like, "Why did you invite me?" And they went, "Because I think you're a money catcher."
Oh, okay.
And like that's not the same thing. I don't know.
But we know that like Jung Hyung said that. I don't know. It just seems like maybe the producer told him like, yeah, they should say this.
Yeah.
Here are the questions that Young Ho got. This is the money catcher
Hmm.
that we have not identified. How was
Okay.
your day?
Yeah, that's not a great one.
It suggests that it's like, oh, it's somebody that hung out with Young Ho today, would
Hmm.
ask that and wants to know like how he felt about his day, I guess is.
I guess.
But it's a pretty generic question. Like anybody
Yeah.
guess that. And then the next question was, how many people are you interested in? Things that everybody in the house asks each other.
Yep.
And then the last one was, what if that person is a money catcher? That is a question that I think may have been repeated
Hmm.
in the next secret night. So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's Taehyuk or Suji. You know, the one thing against Suji is like, it's kind of weird that Suji would want to pick Young Ho if she was a
Hmm.
money catcher. That is like the one thing that's going against me. But I'm kind of just
Yeah,
chalking it
like
up
I
to like the producers are like, it doesn't really do anything unless you invite, like, you have to invite Young Ho or Sungbom. Like, you have to invite one of those two. And
yeah.
then she like
Like
chose
honestly,
between
I
them.
think the only use of secret night is to make the person you invite suspicious of someone. Like I think that's the only function it actually
Yeah.
accomplishes.
Yeah. So they're probably choosing the people that, I don't know. Like, what? Okay, so think about, why didn't, knowing that Taeyeon is a money catcher, why did Suru never get invited to Secret Night?
Because it would have been suspicious as like he would have immediately been like, "Oh, it's the one person I'm interested in has invited me."
It would destroy
His trust in her.
it would destroy the one narrative Suru has, which is his relationship with Taeyeon. So they didn't want to mess that up. It already was going to be spicy for them later, right? From the production standpoint.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like from a Taeyoon standpoint, like it would be dumb for her to choose to pick him. Like she's already gone all in on this is the guy, regardless of like worrying about if he is also a money catcher. Like the only thing she could do by picking him would ruin her chances of with him, right? Like just make him suspicious of her.
Yeah. Because that's like the only conclusion he would come to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so here we go. First secret night. The reason that Suji gets invited
Uh-huh.
is because she's a money catcher, and both the guys she's going after are love catchers. And they're like, that's not interesting. We need her to think at least one of them is a money catcher.
But you're putting all of the like agency around this in production's hands.
Yeah.
And that might be true, but feels bad.
I mean, it's better than like, I don't know, do we want to see, like, it can still work out in some way, but like, let's say Hyojin gets invited to Secret Night and Taeyeon
Hmm.
was the person. It's
Okay.
like, are we getting anything narratively out of that? Like, Hyojin, I don't know. What does Hyojin do differently once she finds out like there's a money catcher that could be somebody that she has talked to? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but like there's no reason for Taeyeon to pick her. Like I love Taeyeon's pick of Sungyoung because it is strategic and it does like
Yeah, I agree. But what if Sungyoung they're like, okay, Sungyoung, you're a money catcher. It's your time to host Secret Night. And she's like, I want to pick Hyojin. Like, they're just going to let that fly. Like, I don't think so.
yeah, because I think like if you're not in a situation where you need to make someone else suspicious of someone, like then you want to put it as far away from you as possible.
I agree, but that's
Right?
just not what happened on the show.
Yeah, that's not what happened on the show unless that's what the Young Ho situation is, you know?
Yeah. Unless we find out it's like Taehyuk invited Young Ho or something. And then it's like,
Right.
okay, that was pretty disconnected.
But like I also could see Suji not being particularly strategic about who she picked.
And just picking Young Ho, you mean?
Yeah, just because she does like legitimately want to know. And she's just like, maybe I'll get something out of him. But like the questions they ask and are allowed to ask are not useful on that front. But I think she might have just made the not best choice.
She's at least, again, like, I feel like she already thought he was a money catcher anyway.
Right.
I just don't know why she just doesn't go completely off the board and not choose.
Yeah, I
either
think
of them.
because she's just
That's why I kind of feel like the producers are like you have to choose between Young Ho and Sungbom.
which might be true. But or maybe she's being strategic in a like she's not interested in him at all and she wants him to be suspicious of her and back off maybe. Maybe that's an angle for it.
I guess. I mean, if you're a money catcher, who cares?
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
if
mean,
you
she's
already
not.
honed in on who you're going to the end with and you're just kind of sick of dealing with this other guy following you around like a puppy, like sure, why not?
I guess. I mean, more the merrier when you're a money catcher.
I mean, not if it like distracts you from your mission, right? Like, I don't know. I could see where somebody got annoyed and you'd just be like, goodbye. Like, because the other option is just picking somebody random, to not get close to anybody who you have interested in you, and that's equally unfulfilling. You're just causing chaos with somebody else for no reason.
Okay. Not how I would play it, but it's all right. What do you think? Is there are actually times where don't Suji and Young-ho like actually talk at some point, and they're like, I went to the first secret night and I thought I was talking to you, who was a money catcher, and then he's like, I went to the second secret night and I thought I was talking to you, who was a money catcher.
Yeah, they do talk about that at some point. Yeah.
And like, I feel like that potentially, like, because there's just kind of this narrative where Young-ho is like, we know he's a love catcher, and he's telling people, including Soji, like, I don't even care if you're a money catcher, like, you're the person I like.
Yeah.
But like, from Suji's perspective, she might just be like, you know I'm a money catcher, and I don't believe that you're gonna stay a love catcher. Like, she might just be like that, you know?
Okay. Well, like, okay, if you're Suji, you got to pick somebody for secret night. Who's your strategic pick? Like,
I would pick a woman. Doesn't really. I guess you go Hyojin, probably the best pick, because then maybe she'll think Young-ho is a money catcher.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stay away from him. I don't know, but again, not as an interesting narratively as what we got. I don't think.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think it's totally like within the realm of possibility that production limits their choices here, but I do hate that. I hope that is not the case.
Okay. All right. So we're both saying Soji.
Yes.
And all right, who's switching? Who's not? Let's go through it. Taehyuk.
Taehyuk? I don't think he's switching. I think he's staying a love catcher.
I think he's love and will stay love. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's disappointing, but I agree. And then
Yujong. I think she very much should, probably will, switch to a money catcher.
Yeah, I think her actions would make more sense if she does end up switching. Like, if they end up matching with, like, they just end up being a love match, like, which is definitely what could happen, but I just feel like the whole thing is just weird if she does that.
Yeah, like, if she stays a love catcher and, maybe she gets to be like, yeah, I'm a love catcher, but I'm not going to confirm this pick at the end. Like, maybe she just walks away. But what's likely to happen if she stays a love catcher is they're just going to come
that would be so stupid if she does that. That's literally like, here's a sack of $50,000 and here's nothing. What would you choose?
Yeah.
That would be dumb.
But she might feel guilty about it or whatever and decide not to. I don't know.
No way. Because, yeah, he's going to feel so much better that you just walked away instead of getting $50,000. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I think if she doesn't money catcher, they're just going to pick each other, whatever. It's going to be another one of those couples that you don't actually believe are going anywhere in the real world. So, whatever, it's over, it's done.
That's actually worse. Show together. Can you imagine if somebody could choose to be with you or take $50,000, but they didn't want to be with you so much that they were like, don't even worry about the money, I'll just leave.
yeah, that would feel real bad.
That's awful. Yeah. Like, at least it was worth $50,000 to fool you. Come on.
Yeah.
She was like, this was so much fun, I'll do it for free. Yeah. All right. I guess we're doing
Suji Sungbom?
Yeah, Sungbom.
I don't think he's switching.
Or staying love. Staying love, yeah. I don't think he's indicated any switch. And then I think she's money and she's staying money.
Yeah, I agree.
She doesn't believe in love in a week.
Yeah.
Whoever is the money catcher that we don't know better stay money catcher. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not Soji, like, just whoever it is, do not switch to love. Please. Please.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody wins $50,000, or if nobody goes to the end as a money catcher, I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and then the big emotional choice here, Sarah. First, Taeyeon. We know she's money. Does she switch?
I think she switches to love.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, come on. It's more fun. It's more fun if you don't.
No, I think she switches to love.
I feel like the narrative is that she will, and then and then Suru will switch to money.
Yeah, because he's about to find out she's a money catcher. He's gonna get pissed, and then he's gonna switch to a money catcher, and it's gonna
sad. That's like the worst ending. That's the worst ending, right? Because
I
that's
think
just
it might happen though.
like that's the reverse where like okay the older woman gets the younger guy and then the younger guy just like gets her in the end like fools her in the
But
end
just
and
because,
gets the
not
money.
fools her. It's just like gets so devastated that he can never trust again. He needs that money for therapy. Like it's just what's gotta happen.
He got really lucky that he got the phone.
Yeah,
I feel like in that scene either one of them could answer.
yeah. I guess that's true.
I feel like that's the narrative they're selling. I don't know. I haven't seen other seasons, so I don't know. Like, is the main couple in the end tend to be a love match? Like, is that the final story that the show wants us to leave the show
Yeah,
with?
or are they trying to be like, hey, money catchers? Like that was the point. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Honestly, I think narratively it could go in any direction, which is why it's actually really exciting.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
just definitely rooting for her to stay money, and I want her to win the money, so I want him to stay love.
Okay.
But I really think it could go any combination of
Yeah.
what are there's like 4 different combinations. I honestly think it could be all 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock in that she changes, he stays the same, they end up a cute couple because that's just what I want to happen.
Yeah.
But I
It
acknowledge
would
it's probably not what's gonna happen.
would it be weird if like the show just told us Tan was money and then it just goes all the way to the end of like her staying money and him staying love? That would be that's a little bit of a weird edit.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though it's what I want. So I don't think what I want's gonna happen, but I think most likely, yeah, it's probably most likely that she's switching. But the thing is, they also set it up like she was going to switch.
Yeah.
But do we want to leave on a double money through money catchers?
Well, it also like
Maybe it
depends
won't
on
be
how
the
they
last
order
couple.
them. Yeah.
Maybe it won't be last. But who's last if they're not?
Then it'll be Taehyuk and
The way I'm
Lee Jung,
predicting
and
this, there's
sad,
no love
weird,
match.
not. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's probably going to be a love match between Soru and it's probably going to be a love match,
yeah.
right? That's why they're the main characters.
I hope so. Yeah, I think that's
it
right.
Probably,
yeah.
It probably is.
Okay, I feel better now.
Okay. All right. Have we predicted well? All right, are we done?
Only one way to find out, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's
all right.
it.
All right, we're going to go watch the rest and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sarah, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I did not take any notes during that last hour of that show.
No, we don't need them. Wow.
Yeah.
I was I'm not I don't think I'm happy with most of the outcomes, but what a ride this show was. It was great.
Yeah, definitely. I think
I'm sure most people like
satisfied. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how did everything went the way you wanted, right? I think.
I mean, yeah, I guess I wouldn't have cared if the Suji Sungbum situation went the other way.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
that's
what
like
what
whatever,
happened
but
here?
yeah.
So we were wrong. Suji was actually a love catcher the whole time and
the
didn't
whole dang
switch.
time.
Yeah, that was a good. I mean, that fooled me just from an edit standpoint because I just thought for sure they were under editing that. And Sungbum like was a love the whole time, right?
One of them had to be, yeah.
Okay, so they just matched. They showed them first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not super exciting because the show definitely didn't invest as much time into that couple.
Yeah, they were more interested when it was a awkward triangle than.
Also, I feel like just not a good look for Sungjung that he was loved the whole time and he behaved the way he did.
Yeah.
But that's okay, I guess. And then they went to Yujong and Taehyuk.
Yeah.
Which we correctly guessed that she would switch and they were both love. So what they
were both love and then she switched to.
Yeah, she switched. So she came out with the money. Good on her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't that exciting though because I feel like she didn't continue to act like she was love. Like she actually just looked like she was money, and then the other guy was just too nice to change, basically. I think,
or too just like lovesick or whatever.
Yeah,
just.
But she didn't. I want somebody to win the money, but they legitimately acted like a love catcher the whole time. but then they
And
were a
then
money
to
catcher.
not like look super guilty about it. Like
Yeah,
she
be like
switched and she's just
excited
like,
that they got you. Yeah,
oh.
yeah. So
Which I mean, honestly, kind of monster behavior if you like really commit
that's the
to
TV show.
convincing someone and then you like, celebrate in their face that you fooled them.
Yeah, you don't actually have to celebrate in their face, but you can at least be a little happy about it that you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
won ultimately. That's no different than Survivor, really, or any other shows.
It
Where
is. I think it's very different than Survivor.
you have to trick people. I mean, you have to get people to like you to be in an alliance, and then ultimately, not everybody can get to the end, right? So you got to make some decisions.
Yeah, but that's not the entire premise is not based around the prospect of coupling up, like your relationship status is not part of the end game.
should there should there be an option on Survivor to just be like, you know what, I don't care about the money. Let's just all leave and be friends, and nobody wins the money.
How I feel like you would be very upset. Like that would ruin Survivor, right?
I mean,
Different sort
it
of
would be
thing.
interesting. I don't think anybody would choose to leave and be friends because
Because they can just get the money and leave and be friends. It's not part of the
exactly,
contract
exactly,
that they're
exactly.
never allowed to be friends after. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get to Suru and Taya, and like the whole setup is like they told us how many monies there were total
Hmm.
prior to like coupling, and then after everybody had a chance to switch, they told us like how many people switched,
Yes.
but we still
And they
didn't know.
also, yeah, they didn't show us of the people left behind who didn't couple up what their status was.
Yeah, so we didn't
So
know
there was this sort
Hyojin,
of
or
possibility there.
it was Hyojin and Sung Young. We didn't actually know what
Right.
they were. So like they could be the money catchers. And then yeah, it basically created like every possible combination was in theory possible, I still think, because they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
really tell us. And then the whole final hour like really lays it on thick with Taeyeon and Soru looking very coupley,
Oh, yeah.
which only made me want them to be money catchers even more. But ultimately, I don't know if anybody has pulled it off in the past where they just like full commit and win.
Mm,
But like, it's hard to imagine on these shows that somebody
yeah.
would go that hard. But I was definitely rooting for it, and it made it
Yeah, yeah,
exciting
you
for me
were.
because like how amazing would the ending be if I really wanted Taeyeon to stay money and then him to be the young idiot who didn't change.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But even if like they both changed or whatever, if like one of them won
Hmm.
the money, I feel like that would have been more exciting to me. But I'm sure everybody else, most people that watch the show, were very
Yeah, it depends on what
happy
you're
with
watching for.
yeah.
I was happy with their I mean, cute coupling up at the end. Not that I believe that's a long-term thing that's going to work out, but yeah, whatever.
I mean, I'm impressed honestly because these other shows where the only option is love. We've
Hmm.
never seen. I don't even know if we've ever seen an older woman leave with a younger guy. Has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. Especially not the youngest guy. So there we
That's
go.
an 8 year difference.
We can't say that the youngest guy never, wins now
That's
because
true.
it did happen this one time.
Yeah, I mean, could have won in a different way. I don't know what's winning more.
Well,
I
in
guess if
context
they are
with
a
other
legit couple,
shows,
yeah.
coupling, yeah, is
I mean, if they
the winning.
yeah, if they are together forever, $50,000 is nothing. But yeah, man, it would have been awesome. I really wanted to see Soru's reaction to her being a money catcher at the end. Not he got to
Oof.
find out she was earlier, but it doesn't really matter. And it almost like feels better if somebody was money and they switch to love for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Because he didn't look when he got a chance, but then he did ask her at the end, and
Yeah,
he
which is
didn't seem
another
upset.
reason to be money catcher in the beginning on the show because if you know you have a chance to switch and you
Mm-hmm.
actually like them and you switch, like that's way more powerful than if you're just like someone who's scared to be a bad person on TV.
Now, do you think the show needs to have a season where they don't get a chance to switch just to like keep people guessing if it's gonna be because
I
this
wonder if
whole
that's how it
season they
was in
were
like
like,
season one. I don't know.
yeah, because everybody was like, I don't know if we're gonna get to switch or not, and that kind of adds to the tension to a certain
Uh,
amount.
no, I think it's good that they're allowed to switch.
Yeah, I think it's good that they're allowed to switch too, but it's the knowledge that they're allowed to switch that kind of like, I don't know,
Yeah,
makes it less.
it diminishes like the initial choice.
Yeah. Because then it's dumb, like everybody should just be a money catcher and then figure out if they've really found love or not and then switch at the end because you know it's an option.
Yeah. If you know 100% that you can switch, everybody should choose love in the beginning.
No, money. Well, I guess it doesn't
No
matter
love.
either
You should
way
choose
if you can
love.
switch at the end. Why
You
should
choose
you
love
choose
because
love
then
in the beginning?
you can never get caught by like a truth game, right?
I guess that's true.
And then you can
But
just
we
do whatever
did
you
just
want at
say
the
that
end.
it means more when you switch from money to love. So if you're going for the big gesture at the end,
Yeah, I
I
guess.
don't know.
I mean, it means nothing if everybody knew that.
Yeah, it means
Yeah,
nothing if you're Junghyun and nobody picks you.
I mean, if you're in it for the love, no, if you're in it for the love, you should stay love because if somehow they found out your money, then you might like lose out on
Mhm.
your relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
And if
Yeah,
you're in it
you're
for the
right.
money, you should choose love because then you'll never get exposed during
Mhm.
the game, and then you can just switch to money at the end. So I think no matter what, if you know you can switch, you should just choose love in the beginning.
Yeah. Which is why I guess they just need to have a bad season where you can't you can't switch. So that way everybody's still on their toes. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like the switch at the end. The switch at the end is good because the last hour of the show was like a brand new TV show. Where it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the other seasons would be over right now, but now we have a whole nother decision to make. So I enjoyed the whole thing honestly. Like even though I didn't get the result that I wanted necessarily, but I felt as invested in the show as I did like Singles Inferno season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
got the result I wanted in Singles Inferno season 2, so that felt really good. But honestly, like just because the last 20 minutes of the show I didn't get what I wanted, but like the rest of the show was amazing up until that, so it's still a great show.
Yeah. And you did get to celebrate when at the end we find out that Hyojin it was a money catcher, even though she didn't win the money. Like that still felt good that you guessed that.
Oh
and
yeah, so
hoped that
Hyojin,
too.
yeah,
So
yeah. So Taeyeon switched and Yujong switched,
mm-hmm.
and then so then Soru and Taeyeon were money catchers. I mean, sorry, we're love catchers, and they coupled up. But then that left
Yeah.
that one of the original money catchers had to be
Back in the house still.
Hyojin or Sung Young, and it ended up being Hyojin. And it was like the last reveal of the show too, which was like, oh yes, wait, this is the girl I liked from the beginning, and I wanted her to be money catcher, and she actually was. Hyojin's one of my favorite, participants on any Korean dating show of all time now, basically.
Yeah.
Although it did seem
Yeah.
like if they made it seem like if she had gotten Young Ho to pick her,
She would have
she
switched
would
to
have
Love
switched.
Catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the timing worked out with why she didn't bother giving the ring out, but I don't know why you don't just.
Well, I
give
think
it
it's
to,
because it was because Junghyun had been revealed as money catcher, and she didn't believe he was going to switch. And
yeah, but
so
you might
she
as
was just like,
well. You might as well just like play the game and give it to him. And
no,
hope they give
I
you...
still respect the fuck it. I'm
Nah.
leaving on my own. I don't care.
Yeah, but choosing money catcher is like the equivalent of I'm leaving on my own. So you might as well try to trick him into switching to love, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's not that hard too. You just be like, I'm gonna be so fucked up emotionally if you're a money catcher in the end. What guy's not gonna switch after you say that? Come on.
I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of guys who are not going to switch after you say that.
On TV?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You think this chef, what's his name?
Junghyun.
Jung
Yeah, I
Hyung?
think
You don't think Jung Hyung is worried about his reputation?
I
you-
really
you
never
can
got the
guilt
vibe that he was
him?
actually going to switch at all. I never got that
No, it's
vibe
worth
from
it.
him.
I think it's worth a try. I don't know. I feel like if Hyojin goes early in the day and is like, "Here's my ring," and then he gets to sit on it the rest of the day, he probably gives it to her, right? And then she can, she might have just been mentally done with the game, and that's
Yeah.
a little disappointing. But
She might have just been like, I cannot fake liking this man for like 48 hours or whatever it is. Like, I'm tired. Goodbye.
That's a little disappointing. I feel like if you can just choose to be money and then try to couple with whoever. I mean, like that's the show, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you chose money from the beginning. Like Yujong actually like was love and then decided in the moment that when she picks Taehyuk, like, oh, I'll just pick him and then switch to money if I get the chance.
Oh, what a blow to poor Taehyuk. That reveal was just like, yeah, I used to be a love catcher, but I'm just not attracted to you. And I've decided I don't want to date anyone right now. That's rough to hear.
I appreciate that she just didn't give up on the show
Mm-hmm.
and she just went for it, but I was disappointed in like she didn't even try to
Yeah, her
really
face
sell
gave
it.
up on the
Yeah,
show.
basically like she basically just stops acting like she's interested in him and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is like, I
Barely
guess
makes any
it's like,
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, it's like normal enough, I guess, in these Korean shows that it's like, okay, you're just that kind of person, maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like I feel like the any chemistry they had just like drained out of the whole thing once they were, on their own.
Yeah, but it didn't stop Taehyuk from just sticking with love. So
Yeah, yeah.
I guess there's some logic that you could say, like, if you like somebody, even if you feel like they're money now,
Mm-hmm.
then like if you switch to money, you also get nothing.
Yeah.
If they're money, and if you switch to money and their love, then you like blew it. So like I guess if he actually liked her, I guess he made the right choice because
Yeah.
it's not like he wins something if he switches to money. So I guess it makes
Well,
sense
if
to me.
he wins the ability to fake walk away like he's not hurt by this whole thing, I think
Yeah,
he gets to save a little face. That's it.
he wasn't. Yeah, I feel like he wasn't that surprised. But
I would hope not.
he probably logicked it out and it was like, well, I don't win any, like I might as well let her win, and then there's some
Yeah.
chance that she still picks love, and then maybe there's something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's fine. So that one wasn't as exciting because it was almost like it's almost like if you just had two strangers, and
Yeah.
if you just had like two strangers and it was like, here's two options, if you both pick the same thing.
Oh,
Like if
it's
you
the
both,
prisoner's
yeah,
dilemma.
it's
That's
like
so depressing.
yeah, it's not quite that, but it's like, yeah, it's just like, oh, well, this is the person sitting in front of me would like never win, never pick love or the one that was not the money, and it's like, I might as well just let them win the money.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance I'm winning the money. It'll just I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, wow, what a show. I honestly think we'd have to watch the show like as it's going live and see how it feels like week to week. But yeah,
we checked.
I
There's
think
no word yet on a new season that might be coming out soon, but I'd be interested in watching it if it does.
Yeah, because I think this is the best format.
Yeah, this is a pretty
at
good
least
format.
when I watch this, no matter what it is, I will always be rooting for money catchers. Regardless of personalities.
It is weird because like it soothes my cynical soul enough where I'm like, yeah, of course there are people here for money, that I'm then able to root for the like cute romantic ending in a more authentic way. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it gives the people like honestly, the prize money isn't like enough that like if you're somebody who thinks this is really gonna like catapult your professional career, it's not like worth risking it, assuming like people will like you more if you're not money catcher. But yeah, but for people that it's just nice that it gives you an option. If you're not feeling anybody on the show, you can just choose to be money in the end, which is the equivalent of not choosing anybody.
Yeah.
So we really get to see how everybody felt at the end, basically. So yeah, great show.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it a lot.
Are you putting it ahead of all the other shows at this point?
I think I might be. I don't know how much of that is because he who shall not be named put a bad taste in my mouth about Singles Inferno this last season or not, but I think it might come out on top anyway. I don't know. I have to ponder that a little longer, but it's
so you're still Singles
definitely
Inferno
up there.
second.
No, I think this might be it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I mean, this one is definitely number one, but I'm on the fence about like the order of the rest of them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be transitioning over to Transit Love after this. Currently, Transit Love is our last place one.
But again, a lot of that had to do with the particular participants making it rough. But also, it's a lot of episodes.
I don't know about that. Like for me, it was a lot of just how long the show was, and
yeah, but I think that was exacerbated by the characters themselves too. Like that went hand in hand.
I don't know. I think it was long, and production made some weird choices that I didn't really like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
and yeah, it got too long. We also didn't like a lot of the people on this season.
Yeah.
Which could just be a result of putting exes in the house with each other and like making them live together again. And
so we'll give it another go and see if it goes better this time. Or
we'll check it out. Yeah, but between Heart Signal and Singles Inferno, it's actually kind of tough.
Yeah, that's true. I think on Singles Inferno over Heart Signal, just because I think the shorter format is better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd almost have to go like season by season with those two.
Yeah, that's
With
true.
those two, but I think I can confidently say this is the best format. And so far,
Yes, it's
Transit
real
Love is
good.
the worst format. But hey, we're here. We're gonna watch them.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anything we missed from the last hour or the entire show that you want to talk about?
Oh, no, I think we got it.
We're good. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So next, we'll be talking about Transit Love 3.
Mm-hmm. I think we talked about doing 3 episodes at a time, or try to see how that goes.
Yeah, based on suggestions from, we're like behind by
A lot.
6 weeks. I don't know. I don't know how far behind we're from the start, but we're gonna try to catch up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it got recommended that we do maybe like 3 episodes at a time. So I think that's what we're gonna do until at least we catch up. I didn't check how many episodes there are, so I don't. The last season was like 20 episodes, or so. It was insane.
It was a lot.
Maybe this one's like 16 or something. Yeah.
Mm.
But we'll try to catch up doing 3 at a time, and we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping it can't be worse, right?
Yeah, I don't think
it would be hard for it to be worse, but I mean, like,
yeah.
Imagine if like the guy from Singles Inferno was on.
Oh, yeah, okay, it could get worse. He could be on this show.
What if they had like they could really with the X's concept though, they could start doing like crossovers with the shows where like it's some people that coupled up on another show now go on Transit Love. Love.
I do like that funnel.
Yeah. That would maybe make Transit Love more interesting, because it's like, okay, these are characters I'm invested in, but they would probably bring back like people we don't like on the other shows. So.
Probably yes.
But yeah, you get like Suru and Taeyeon on Transit Love 4. Come on.
It does make it hard for it to be them to keep their exes a secret if they've all been on TV. So we just have to eliminate that it's a secret. But
yeah, okay. I guess that's true. I don't know. I feel like the secret aspect of whose exes who's
that made everybody crazier. Yeah.
It ended up not even mattering that much, I don't think. Because I mean, like, they don't even save that information until the end of the show, or it didn't even make it to the halfway point of the show. They just told us everybody by like.
But they didn't tell the participants until very close to the end.
How did that really affect the participants? I mean, by the end, they knew.
It made Cry Girl crazy because she couldn't just openly talk to her ex.
Oh, because she had to hide it. She had to hide it.
Yeah. She went off the rails because of that.
We'll make all the other people hide it, and then who cares if the 2 celebrities don't have to hide it? Whatever.
Yeah. And maybe it just improves, if it's exes in a house, but you just know who everybody's exes are, Maybe that's a better show. I don't know.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could just create like different kinds of drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being better, actually. I don't know. Well, just thought out there, Transit. All right. Where can people contact us, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com, tweet at us at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod, leave a comment under this video on YouTube also at keepwatchingpod. And if you have a favorite money catcher or love catcher who should have been a money catcher or whatever, leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yeah, Hyojin #1.
Yeah.
Taeyeon would have been the biggest badass ever if she stayed money catcher. Come on, that shit would have been insane.
That man would have had a meltdown.
Taeyeon would have been my favorite person, like not even close, if she had stayed money catcher and just absolutely destroyed this kid.
How long would they have made us watch him stand there and cry about this? Like, it would have been so long.
There has to be some amount of money where she would have stayed money catcher, though, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't think 50,000 is like that much, but like, say it was like a quarter, like 250,000. $1 million, easy. You dump that guy on his ass. But then there's also a point where like everybody chooses money if it's too high. So
yeah.
I don't know if 50,000 is. It could be too low, because I mean, if we only have this one season to go off of, but it's basically just like the only person who chose money in the end was the person who wasn't feeling their person at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious how other seasons have been.
Yeah. Oh, here's the incentive to be a money catcher from the beginning. Here we go. I figured it out.
Okay.
My idea was like, if you get more rings and you're a money catcher,
Oh yeah, yeah. You get
then
it. Bonus money.
you get like bonus money. So like if you got 2 rings, now your prize pot is like $100,000.
Uh-huh.
But in order to keep that money, you have
You
to
have to stay a
stay a
money
money
catcher.
catcher all the way to the end.
Yes.
So that incentivizes people to be money catchers in the beginning of the game.
And to maybe stay at the end even though they're
And then
feeling
even
feelings.
more to stay at the end, even if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
actually have to weigh
Okay.
their feelings. Yeah.
I like it. This is
Oh,
a good
that's so
improvement.
good. Money catcher, please listen to this podcast. That's actually like the perfect balance of everything. Because
Mm,
yeah, the show like we were saying, like the show's broken if everybody knows you can switch at the end. But if everybody knows I can switch at the end, but there's an incentive to not switch. And
yeah.
there's an incentive to be money catcher from the beginning. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. I think it works.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's so good. Okay. Yeah, they'll definitely hear us.
Yeah,
Sickles
yeah.
Inferno heard us. Everybody hears us. Okay. All right, anything else, Sarah?
Well, I think that's it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.